This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Being your best self feels good. Visit betterhelp.com/allies and get back to being you.
Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'll be your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelists Michael Damiani.
What's up?
Michael Huber.
Yellow Jackets.
My car brand manager and co-moderator, Daniel Bloodworth.
Ghostwire.
Making it all happen in that room, Isla Hank.
Yellow Jackets, dude.
Yeah. Okay. Distinguished guests, we are here to talk about some of the biggest headlines in the world of video games. But before we do that, we must first answer for all of the mistakes we made in last week's podcast. Isla, begin corrections music, please.
Boop.
The original Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original PlayStation 2, had a galaxy map for the Galactic Conquest mode. You talked about that,
Yeah.
and I'm sure other games have had that specifically, but I'm
Sick.
like, I remember that. I remember,
Cool.
and it's just the maps when you go to those planets. It's just the maps from the game,
So
but the way it was
cool.
organized was kind of fun to look at.
Just want to see like the whole Star Wars galaxy.
That's cool.
Keanu Reeves voices Duke Kaboom, the incredibly Canadian stunt biker in Toy Story 4. Of course he's Canadian. Of course he's Canadian.
I remember because I thought he
They're
was
making a big deal out of that.
I thought he was going to be the fork character, but that was someone else, like going into Toy Story.
We were talking about the cycle of COD, and you were like, Respawn's essentially, like they're one of the big boys. They're the origins of the best of COD, the current COD. And some people pointed out a lot of Respawn devs went back to Infinity Ward for Modern Warfare and whatever that next COD is going to be. So it's just like...
Sure. Well, I was mostly referring to studio heads. But
Right.
yeah.
It's just a strange family that just kind of keeps going in and out of that series. Star Wars Squadrons was developed by Motive Studios, not DICE. It comes up in the DICE conversation, but we don't
Yeah, I
specifically
don't think
say...
we ever alluded to them.
Right.
being-
It's just the thing we don't mention while we're talking about DICE.
Fun game.
While Barry Burton was born in the U.S., he moved his family to Canada after the events of Resident Evil 1. He's shown to be living there with his family 2 years after the events of Revelations 2 and before Resident Evil 6, so there is a chance he became a Canadian citizen at some point.
Pick up the gun.
Lord.
And corrections music, please.
Boop.
BSAA Barry Burton.
Huber, we got to solve a murder. And last week we had a big development. We have a detective assigned to the case. The case, of course, of the death of Lanky Kong, who was found dead in the church in the slums in Sector 5 of Midgar. Who do we got on the case? Who would you put on the case? What detective would you put on the case from the Easy Allies Detective Agency to solve this right now? With haste.
Valentine. Detective Valentine from Fallout 4.
Well, he didn't get picked and was on the list.
He was, yeah, he was.
Sebastian Castellanos
Yeah, I do like that
is
one.
putting it all
You're
on the
wearing
line
an Evil Within shirt.
to solve this one.
You know,
Disson
Sebastian is...
He needs a break. He needs a break.
He needs a break, and unless a family member was murdered, like, he won't care as much.
Also, he's already had a break.
Well,
a mental break.
Hey.
Oh.
A psycho break?
Oh.
Hey, what are the odds of some cameo thing in Ghostwire?
I feel like
How
there'll
would
be
they show
Easter
up?
eggs. Easter eggs,
Yeah.
for sure. Not a shared universe.
So-
Just
Easter eggs.
speculating, yeah.
Castellanos and I have been talking a lot this week, and I'm saying, okay, what's the next thing we need for the podcast? Clearly, we need to lock down the murder weapon, which I have shown to these allies. I'm not going to show it now, and there's pictures that we've shown before. This is an ongoing murder investigation, so I'm not going to show these. There might be children watching, but all of you got to touch, feel, be in the room with this thing. So I need to know. We need to narrow it down. Was this the laptop gun from Perfect Dark, an Uji Katana, a crazy taxi, or a blitzball? What's it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yep.
It was spherical.
Yeah, I do recall.
But you could tell with the right equipment, you can crush a crazy taxi down to a really, really, really small size.
I mean, a blitzball technically, canonically killed Titus, so...
Oh my goodness!
Is that true?
Whoa!
I mean, it's got a history
It's
here.
not
Little-
intending
little
for
suspect.
spoilers to be here in the opening
Well,
segment.
I mean, when you look in the stitching, you could see a little bit of that orange fur.
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
I think
Clear.
it's probably I mean, either that or he was just like relaxing on that thing when it happened. But I'm pretty sure there was enough force. Yeah.
Right.
We couldn't make out any team logos or anything. Couldn't tell if it was the goers or anybody.
I'll let them know. We'll get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
Might take a couple more weeks. Sony bought Bungie. Was Sony jealous? Did you feel bad for Sony when all that Xbox talk was happening? Do you think Jim Ryan was sitting there watching TV, turning the volume down with Phil Spencer's, doing backflips, and it's like, we'll have our day in the sun.
Do you think anyone at Sony slammed their hand on the desk when they read the Microsoft headline?
Slammed the paper on the desk.
Just like, damn it!
Yeah, it slides out across. Everyone's all uncomfortable. And what I thought was super cool, Sony bought Bungie for $70 billion. They did it. They upped the 68 to $70 billion. And I think Bungie's worth it. No, 3.6.
Quite a lot.
Small fry.
Well, people have been pointing out that like Insomniac was like a few 100,000 or something like that.
Then, now.
Wow.
Now.
And that'll be interesting to see with all the acquisitions that are happening right now. Like, how many of these are just
Maybe
topical of
few
the
hundred
year?
million. I'm getting the numbers all
No
mixed
one
up
was
now.
having these conversations 2 years ago, and how many of these are like, oh, they've been talking about that for a long time.
Yeah, that was the thing. That was the only real headline I saw, Jones, was that it was not a reaction to Microsoft.
Of course not, because this stuff takes way too long.
So long, yeah. Of course.
Well, and that's the thing too.
So
It's like you think about like what was the reaction to Microsoft? It's like, the reaction was like, oh well, we got something coming.
Yeah, we got some
Like,
good
game
we got something in the works.
Crazy.
GameIndustry.biz had like 3 articles. One of them was like an interview with Parsons, like Jim Ryan, just like, sitting down, real cozy,
Yeah,
talking
all
about
ready
everything.
to go
Yeah.
the second it was announced. Yeah.
So both of these things, happy holidays. Like they were sweating these deals over the last couple months. I want to share something
Okay.
from the manual to Halo Combat Evolved on the Xbox
Tight.
about Bungie.
Very cool.
Bungie was founded in 1991 with 2 goals: to develop games that combine brilliant technology, beautiful art, intelligent stories, and deep gameplay, and then sell enough of those games to achieve our real goal of total world domination. Dig it up. If you have it on your shelf, go find it. It says
do.
that.
They're having fun.
It says it in there. They were having a good time 20 years ago. And now they're bought. They finally got bought by one of the big boys, except, when Xbox did that. But that's a whole nother story.
Activision.
What do you
Well,
think?
they had a deal with Activision. They
We
weren't
did a
bought by
breaking news. You should go check it out if you're curious to get more on this. Where are you at now, Bloodworth, at the end of the week?
There's so much happening. It's like, oh yeah, that happened. It's just constant. But yeah, it's I'm just very interested in the broader ramifications of what Sony's doing, because it's very clear from that interview this really has almost nothing to do with Destiny itself. It's about the underlying framework that runs Destiny and about everything else that Sony's doing. And I think somebody was saying that like they're working on like 10 live service IP. They've got studios across the board, working on stuff. So
We got
it's going to be interesting to see where it goes.
Huber here. I reached out to Brad on our breaking news. Brad, tell us about your Destiny experience. He's like, played 2 at launch, over it. And I was like,
Yeah, it bums me
now we
out.
got you here.
Yeah.
Would you watch a Destiny TV show?
Hell yeah. There is so much lore in this game, in this universe. It is
You got to have some way to know what's going on.
it is almost it is almost
They should
impossible to
call
follow.
it Grimoire cards.
No, and obviously people have made there's a lot of good like YouTube lore videos out there. Like there's so much lore that's constantly coming too. Like this preseason building up to the next expansion has added so much lore. This expansion is going to be payoff for all this groundwork they've been laying for years. But a lot of that, even as someone who flirts with Destiny, that plays like every once in a while, I try to keep up, but put it away for a while, come back to it.
Yeah.
It's always kind of there. So I play a lot casually, and it's impossible for me to follow the story. Like you have to go all in
Sure.
to know what's going on. You have to dedicate a lot of time watching those like hours and hours of lore videos. So a TV show would be really cool to give us all that really cool lore in a more digestible way.
So you would want them to repeat stuff. You would want this to go along with the game.
They
So
could-
show me stuff that is happening and help me
Well,
understand it.
either way, they could do Halo style, where it's an adaptation of like Destiny 1 or 2 or whatever they want to do, or prequel stuff, whatever. Or they could do a Defiance situation.
Here we go.
Where it's like
Huber made the transition.
Yeah, where it's this separate battle going on or separate storyline that is also hinted at in the game. That stuff is really cool and fun.
Like a Destiny sitcom, and the set is in the hub. You know, it's like I can every time you go back to the hub, you're like, yeah, I'm on WandaVision. Yeah,
Because, you know, there's guys there. They don't go raiding.
they
They
don't.
just run their shop. They have all these crazy dudes come in.
A lot of them don't get to move. A lot of them have been like sitting on a bench for a long time. You know, I think it does sound exciting because I think about the promise of it's still a good idea. You know, it's like Defiance like wasn't around forever, but that is. It is an interesting concept. You think about like when Endgame happened, if all of us like were also playing that, I'm sure Fortnite's like gunning for this. They're just trying to make their lore relevant. And yeah, like you said, Destiny 1 and 2 built on a mountain of lore from a developer that's kicking butt. But just Pete Parsons is so stoked. Like us, Sony believes the game worlds are only the beginning of what our IPs can become. Is it too small to think a TV show? Too small to think of movies? Where are we going with
No,
this?
they listed those things specifically, and like, yeah, I think they've probably already done comics and that sort of thing. The other side of it that I'm curious of is they are hinting at new IP as well, and I'm curious what's cooking there and how enticing and interesting that's going to look. It's like, you know, Destiny's in space. You know, where else are they gonna go with that? You know, like what other kind of franchise could they make?
Yeah.
Because Halo was in space, Destiny was in space. Was Marathon in space? I don't know. So, like, what else will they did Oni back in the day.
Yeah.
But, you know, Sucker Punch already kind of has that shored up with, like, Ghost of Tsushima. So, yeah, just curious, like, what other settings would lend themselves to this sort of live service structure? Would it be another shooter? Would they try to do something that's focused in a different area? You know, would they try to do something that's more akin to like a light MMO?
Sparrow racing.
Yeah, dude.
Come on.
Dude, theme parks are live service, man. Sparrow roller coasters, man. You know, team up with Universal or something. You know, let's really bring us into the world. 5 years from now, just narratively, outside of anything video game I can play, what will be bigger, the Destiny universe or the Halo universe? In terms of like relevance, in terms of like, oh no, the next thing we do.
5 years?
5 years from right now.
Oh, probably still Halo.
Universally Halo, but like the people that care about the Destiny lore, I mean, shit, people care about Halo lore just as much.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty even. Like
Halo's
they
got
both,
that TV show coming up.
yeah,
soon,
they both have very deep and dedicated fans and a lot of lore. Yeah, I think it's pretty even, Jones. Honestly.
But over to that crazy live service thing that they said, fun predictions and promises being made. Also, how many acquisitions is Tencent and gonna make this year? Yeah, they're gonna go live service big time. More than 10 by 2026.
Yeah, there it is.
What genres are not in live service? Like, what if Sony dragged you into a room and said 10? Like, what would be the
RTS?
1 of 10? Just the first thought going in your mind of like.
What wouldn't
what
be?
theme or what haven't we done yet?
Sony said there'll be 10 live
Yeah.
service games.
They're going to
Is that
have
what you're
more than 10 new live service
Wow.
experiences by 2026.
The heck?
Part of this, and they're like, so obviously Destiny, what was one quote? We are in charge of our destiny, quote unquote. But they're like, so Destiny we want to mess with, and obviously something is going to come from them that is not Destiny, but other developers, other people within the Sony ecosystem, first party or third party, we want to do live service stuff. We want their help to teach us how to do. They saw Square Enix botch, Avengers. They saw EA botch Anthem.
One
Not
of
again.
the 10 is Last of Us. 100%. That's one of them.
Duh.
Yeah.
Of course.
Another one of the 10 I'm sure they have planned is something like the Metaverse VR thing, like whatever that was called. I've already forgotten what it's called.
Horizon.
Horizon.
Oddly
yeah.
enough.
Ghost of Tsushima Legends was incredible, and that was just like a bite-sized multiplayer
Because that's the thing,
thing.
live
If
service
you
doesn't
blow that up,
necessarily mean like crewing up in giant hub zones and all that stuff.
Yeah.
'cause,
Right.
Like, Genshin Impact, that's kind of like more like action adventure RPG. You can play with other people, but you don't necessarily have to. But you still have all the loot boxes and all that stuff going on. And
Gran Turismo 7, Bloodworth? Is this one of them?
They-
Gran Turismo,
they
something.
can count it. I mean, GT
Yeah.
Sport is basically a live service game.
These are things we maybe know of.
Yeah.
What about something like a Twisted Metal, baby? What about like a
That's a
like
great
a
candidate.
Ratchet and Clank roguelite or something? Like, let's get funky.
Ratchet and Clank has had some weird spin-offs, like All for One and Full Frontal Assault. I
Yeah.
could see them flirting with something like that for sure.
You'd be crazy to get a PC exclusive Ratchet game. Just some weird game, but it's only on PC. You know, just like they're just trying out weird stuff. Some weird free to play Ratchet
Yo,
game.
Twisted Metal, Jones, that's a really good pick.
Yeah.
It's mine, yeah.
That's a good pick for.
It's
for
not up there with
Yeah.
SSX with me, but
Who's
I
working
miss
on
it.
that,
and-
supposedly. The developer changed, right? Or there's
think so.
a report or something.
Yeah, there was something about it a while ago. I didn't look into
Yeah.
it though.
like just the Rocket League that doesn't,
Right.
doesn't care.
The Destruction All
You know, just doesn't. Yeah. But
Yeah.
Destruction All Stars, like, is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I fear that I'm saying that
Yeah,
title wrong.
Destruction
Destruction
All-Stars,
All Stars
yep,
was the
yep.
name of that video game.
Yeah.
Just it was still more big showy, game showy. Just like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Give me the gore. According to Bungie's post, they don't have a choice. Quote, "We must bet big on our vision, on our studio, and our incredible team of trusted creators who build unforgettable worlds that truly matter to people." You think everybody else on board? Having spent so much time with this developer over the years, here does it feel like people are going to be like, oh, yeah, let's go big time. Yeah, shows, let's go.
It's weird because when they broke away from Activision, it was like a big, yay, we're free again.
Right.
And now Sony buys them up. So it is a little weird. I know they were loving their freedom there. I mean, but Sony, I feel like, has a lot better relations with developers versus Activision.
Well, the other bizarre thing, and we talked about this in the breaking news, is like they pretty much lead with like we're buying them, but they're still going to be an independent publisher.
Multi-platform, yeah.
And so like it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Do you think
Like
it's them
they're going
covering
to be
their
in
bases?
control of when their
Yeah.
games come out. They're going to be, whatever else they might do. Like they could potentially publish other people's games, but
Yeah.
Bungie is a publisher. They're just, basically sending the money up the chain.
Yeah, and that's probably in the contract that we don't get to see, right? Just all these little details like, we reserve the right to develop what we want or something,
Right.
like all that little language.
We remain in charge of our
Yeah,
destiny.
Yeah.
Everybody wants the extremely large Destiny 2 community, whatever platform they're on, to be able to continue to enjoy their Destiny 2 experiences. And that approach will apply to future Bungie releases. That is unequivocal. I like that word.
Yeah.
Get serious when somebody says
Yeah,
that.
I mean it's very like Microsoft when they've done these acquisitions, they've been sort of here and there. It's like, oh, we'll honor our contracts, and then when it comes to something that doesn't have a contract, it's like, oh yeah, that's exclusive. But this is like, no. The other stuff we're working on too, that's still going to be multi-platform. Like they're very upfront. And then the other weird thing is that like Sony is saying like, oh yeah, we're going to put our stuff multi-platform too. Like that's the direction we're going. Like, huh? And then you get that, and then like MLB the show being on Switch and Game Pass and stuff. Like that's basically because MLB's making that call.
Yeah.
But it's weird with where they're talking and like they bring up like their 25 years of history. And it's like, wait, what are you telling us? You're going to put PlayStation games on a Switch? What are you doing? What are you trying to say here?
I mean, maybe it has to do with their thinking in terms of when we learn more about what Spartacus is. I mean, they could just be like positioning themselves to like what's the competition is going to be. Is that it's about streaming numbers. Like they're going to have a streaming service wherever you're playing it. So getting over that mentality of like our games need to be exclusive to a Sony PlayStation hardware is the first step to, no, we need to be thinking where can people have PlayStation experiences wherever they're playing games.
God, I'd like me some PlayStation experiences.
I mean, that's marketing
It's
speak
been a while.
for it. But I mean, this is what
Come back
Xbox.
to Anaheim.
I think Microsoft is ahead of the game on this because of Game Pass. So I mean, these acquisitions aren't necessarily to bolster just like first-party strength of exclusives to bolster hardware sales. I think they're looking towards the future, like what is going to be like the next metric of success, which is probably going to be, as we said, subscription numbers, not necessarily hardware sales.
Yo, I just had a crazy thought. if they're doing all these live service games, and there's obviously a lot of stuff on the PlayStation 5 in its life cycle that we haven't seen from Sony or has not even been announced yet, there is kind of like, as much as Game Pass is incredible value. That Game Pass.
Incredible.
There is a randomness to it.
Incredible
I actually saw an article today that's like, hey, we're getting near the end of the month, like just FYI, like it's easy to forget what leaves if you put something on your list.
Yeah, I think some of the Yacht Club
Download
games
it.
are going off soon.
We're all trained
already have.
PlayStation Plus members. Oh, it's the end of the month. Like, gotta like redeem whatever. Be interesting to have a Game Pass where, there's all sorts of weird games that come and go, but like the core games, the games Sea of Thieves, what that is to Game Pass or your Forza, are like tied together. So it's not just that it's exclusive to it, but it's like, no, these games are talking to each other. Like you play one, it helps, not in an NFT help way, but like with crossovers, Fortnite style. I don't know. It'd just be an interesting way
Psycho Mantis shows up and it's like, you like Sea of
to
Thieves.
explore synergy, yeah. And they're all free to play, so you don't have to own any of it. It's all part of like this, when that PlayStation Studios logo goes by, you see all those 10 games, and it's like, that's what our live service is known for, not just giving you free games, but those games connecting in a weird way. No idea how they're going to pull that off. Just like to throw that out into the world and forget about it.
I like it.
I mean,
Good theory.
the past stuff could be more tied to, because they want 10 new games, live games coming out.
More than at least 10.
Well, at least 10. And how many of those might have like battle pass type stuff? So if you tie, like if you're like a subscriber to like Spartacus, whatever it's going to be called, and get these things, it's like you also get access to the battle pass on these games. So you have to pay. It's like another.
That's a good idea.
It's another bonus to strengthening that prospect of subscribing. So
It strengthens the rumor that there would be multiple pay levels. For
tiers?
this too.
Yeah,
tiers. Like the
absolutely.
top tier, you just get battle pass and everything. Yeah.
Even Fortnite has the Fortnite crew. It's like 15 or $20 a month, and
Right.
every month you get the battle pass with that cost and then additional exclusive skins and whatnot.
It's so funny because I have Fortnite installed. I don't think it's actually installed on my PlayStation 5 right now, and I
The Rock came
almost
out today.
never play. Yeah, I almost never, which is crazy because didn't he already? Almost never play Fortnite. My PlayStation yells at me about Fortnite all the time. Like, just you should know. They got a lot of things to talk about. There's one more uncomfortable detail that we have to bring up, or that I'm going to bring up before we're moving on from the story. I don't know if you recall, last year IGN interviewed 26 Bungie employees who reported some incidents of sexism, racism, abusive bosses, systemic discrimination. Jim Ryan was asked about that by GamesIndustry.biz in that big interview and said he takes that incredibly seriously, quote unquote. But it's, potentially another Bobby situation where it's just like, oh, guess what we're not talking about anymore? Because there's a lot of other 10 new live service games to talk about instead of this. So shout out to all the people that did bring it up. But I hope that didn't make them more valuable in a weird way. It's not like, just makes me wonder, like, has your company recently been accused of mistreating its employees? Do you have tons of IP you keep screwing up despite their immense popularity? Good news, you and your company have never seemed more valuable.
It is a weird.
Yeah.
I hope that trend does not continue.
I know. What the hell?
First week of February. We've already had 3 high-profile purchases. We shall see. It's a little purer than even just a paltry 3.6 bill Kickstarter. It's for, the people speak, and beautiful things happen.
Love Kickstarter.
Yacht Club made their name on Kickstarter, and they did it again. A lot of people were confused before they did this. They announced a new game, and it has been kickstarted. Less than 12 hours. Is it cute for Yacht Club to be surprised, or is it like, oh, come on, Yacht Club? What, surprised that this earned at that time?
This is a very specific type of game. I mean, this is like a Game Boy Advance style game that I could see. Like, at first I was like, oh, they need to kickstart something? Like, that's crazy. They're so amazing. But then at the same time, I was watching and I was like, oh, well, this is a very niche type of game that I can imagine it maybe being a hard pitch to go to millionaires and be like, hey, produce our game. It looks like a Game Boy game. It's like,
Well, what's funny is
Mina the Hollower, sorry.
their ask is really low.
Yeah.
Their goal is only 300,000.
yeah.
311,000.
So that's
I mean, a lot of
crazy
times
that
now,
nobody
though,
would
like,
just front
Kickstarter
that.
really isn't about like the full budget or anything. It's,
right.
It's just sort of like, okay, we get enough from this Kickstarter. We know we're on the right track. We can convince other people to add to that bucket. That kind of thing.
True. Then they go to the big
Yeah.
whales and get even more money because they're like, hey, look at our Kickstarter. Yeah. Good
Designer Alex Faulkner said, though we're financing a majority of this project ourselves, we hope we can create a more expansive game this way. More importantly, we want to build a community around Kickstarter,
Smart.
much like we did with Shovel Knight.
Right.
Fantastic.
So good to know that
yeah,
did well.
Cool.
so
at the end of the day.
Because they come up so many times when we're talking about like dream projects and who do want to develop and any kind of like retro 2D game getting like a remake. It's like Yacht Club. It always comes up, or like Way Forward. And the fact that you'd think that someone would strike a publishing deal with them. I wonder if this is more they like keeping their independent status and they don't want that. I mean,
Yeah, for sure. I
Get
mean,
right,
they're publishing
Bungie.
other people's games.
exactly. Like this might just be that path, and I'm surprised. I was a little surprised by the announcement
Right.
they were going back to Kickstarter, but then it sounded like no. This felt more like you said. This is more about like marketing and raising awareness rather than we need you to fund our game. It's like nah. This is a big deal. This is how you get people to pay attention to your game. On top of we already made a really good game with Shovel Knight, so.
Hell
It,
yeah.
it kind of is, it kind of is just like an ad campaign that pays you. Because, like, everybody Polygon, Kotaku, IGN, everyone's going to write articles about you started a Kickstarter. They're going to write another article about your Kickstarter got
record.
funded.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh, record time. Like, yeah, it's like free advertising, but it's better than free because you make millions of dollars.
Well, and the other thing too is, essentially, unless you're like on these upper tiers, like a Kickstarter is just a pre-order. But if you pre-order on Steam or GameStop or something, like you have no connection to the publisher. With Kickstarter, it's like, okay, now you're part of all these updates. You get to see things being made and all the behind-the-scenes things and like that. And so, I think just in sort of that sense, you don't necessarily have to think about it as like, oh, they need my money to make the game. It's like, no, you put your money down now if you're interested, and then you get to all this cool stuff and see what they're doing.
I think a Bloodstained and the loops that they had to go through to really like finalize that art style. And even when it launched, how they were like, we're still trying to figure this out. Like some of the goals we have might change, that stuff later. I think the Yacht Club style is done. I think they are. I think I trust them to come up with their own style. And so when you have, Damiani, a game that I'm seeing this called Castlevania meets Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
When you have when you have the Link or the Link's Awakening model, to me, it wouldn't seem terribly difficult once you're building the world to just a dungeon over here and another realm over here. You get on a magical unicorn and ta-da, you're in a desert somewhere, and we hit that tier, so we just add more stuff. Expansive, they said, because of Kickstarter.
Right.
Does that make sense for that type of game?
Yeah, it does. I mean, just looking at the trailer too. I mean, yeah, it's a really nice combination of those two, and I think that it shows enough to sell the concept. And they got the pedigree, and this structure allows them to say like, well, you can see like you now see this. Like, what if we want to do like maybe we want to do like a new gameplay element, and we have a whole zone we want to create around that we haven't shown off there because it's nice to like what were we talking about like recently about I forget what game it was, Huber. We were talking about something. It's about Psychonauts. Even though I haven't played Psychonauts 2, the various feedback I was hearing from some people is that like it's a good game, but like it's not doing anything extraordinarily new gameplay design wise. It feels like a PS2 era game mechanically. And I'm like sometimes like naming the last time a game like Psychonauts came out. Period. It's like sometimes you just want these games to exist. Is the point I'm trying to make. So like like when is the last time we got like a 2D like Zelda like this from Nintendo? We got Link's Awakening 2019, but it was like a remake version. It wasn't like that. So people who make these types of games still, you want to see them push it further. And what would happen if they kept making sequels to these types of games and adding new mechanics, adding new types of ideas for environments and stuff like that? It would have been so insane.
I think that's kind of like the Dusk resurgence that we're seeing with a lot of Quake, Doom style, like old school shooters that, where people are just like, they're like, this is exactly what I need. I don't need anything more than that. Our community showcase, shout out.
Bluewood is not out yet.
Yeah.
Bloodborne PSX is out, though. Check out Easy Update this weekend.
So yeah, I think that worked out. Shovel Knight's initial Kickstarter was $75,000, by the way. It raised over $300,000, and I think it's made just a little bit more than that.
And this one started at 300,000.
This one started at 311. They're currently at 500 something.
Wow, that's a lot of money for a Game
I
Boy
just
game.
closed the page, so I don't know the exact number.
Also, and besides the point of talking about business and everything, this game's gonna rule, right?
Yeah. Should.
Yeah.
I mean, it should. It should.
Yeah.
Yeah. It absolutely should.
Looks like they've already got a lot done on it too.
Just seems like that's the thing that I played Shovel Knight on the 3DS on the way down and back from Comic-Con on the train, and just like every time I would close that clamshell case, I was like, "Oof, that's a special video game." And it just seemed like it was going back and taking a genre and like turning the lights on, man. Just making it shine in a lot of ways I'd never seen it before, but not like taking away or being distracting, And so it's like, yeah, do that again.
Yeah.
A different genre, fun.
And all the DLC and spin-off they did.
Oh,
You know,
Yeah.
they still have been cranking out quality. So yeah, there's no fear that this won't be great.
And Shovel Knight made a lot of cameos in a lot of other games. So
Yes.
Got
Mina-
their own amiibo.
Shovel Knight and Fortnite, dude, win.
And the Shovel
With the
Knight,
shovel?
that parade's still going. Obviously, Pocket Dungeon is getting
Still haven't
DLC.
Booted that up.
Dig
I
hasn't
played
come
it.
out yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played Pocket Dungeon. It's cute.
Nice.
Yeah. If you like Grindstone, it's kind of similar.
Dig got bumped a little bit just because of the pandemic, but apparently is quote in the final stages and quote nearing completion. And all of that came out at that event. I gotta say, I'm always Hubert. I think you might be in this camp with me, where I'm always a sucker for a 2. I'm always a sucker. Something happens. That's Spider-Man 2. Oh, like there's no way they couldn't do it. Like if they were like,
Shovel Knight
we're
2?
gonna take the Spider-Man
Roman
franchise in a
numeral 2.
weird episodic direction. It'd be like, no, dude, Spider-Man 2.
shovels, dude.
The Tobey Maguire movie was huge. The PS2 game was huge. The brand identity was Spider. It's like Mortal Kombat 2. It's like, do it.
Yeah. I love it too.
No Shovel Knight 2. Got to be a Roman numeral as well.
Gotta be.
But
It's going to be 2 shovels
we
leaning
ever
on the
gonna
T of
see
the
a
night. You know?
Shovel Knight 2? When's that
Because
going to
it's
happen? What
What if it's Shovel
why
Knight
rush or what?
holding 2 shovels?
Yeah. Well,
Dual
him and
wield
the girl.
shovels.
Him and the girl.
yeah.
What are they waiting for?
After this game,
yeah.
Absence makes the
you
heart
let
go fonder.
you let it build up. Yeah.
Yeah, learn some lessons from trying a hand at slightly different genre of game.
Yeah, and
And
all
then,
the DLC and everything. I mean, they were cranking away on Shovel Knight. I feel like
What if this is?
forever.
What if they join up? What if this could be a trilogy?
This is part of it? You think?
Yeah, there'll be
Oh,
a
it's-
third game, and they all come together.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's like Glass. It's like the
Hollowing is kind of like digging.
But I actually do think that, you've got a good point. Like, try something else. You got an independent studio. You got people that are like attached to your studio as a name and like want to back you on whatever you want to do, and there it is. You know, like you get 500K in a couple of days. Yeah, go wild. Don't get stuck in just a rut and making the same thing over and over again.
I do wonder if they would try some, because like Image and Forum tried Gunk, and didn't seem to. I mean, I don't know how well it sold, but it didn't seem to be a huge success. So I wonder if they were like deterred at all from like.
Yeah, I don't
trying
know
something out
success-wise, but I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
But the latest the SteamWorld RPG kind of
I mean,
fizzled too.
Yeah,
I think.
Quest
I don't know.
and Heist, we're so different than Dig 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So I like that all their games are really different.
this
But
doesn't.
like that's the best example of it. Just a 2. Do it again. SteamWorld Dig 2.
so good.
Yes.
this doesn't feel so
Yes.
derivative, though. I feel like
Right.
this still feels like it's in their wheelhouse of like,
sure.
what you expect. It doesn't feel as far off as some of those other like SteamWorld endeavors felt like to me.
Yeah.
Heist was great.
Heist is so sick.
Like Mina's the kind of thing where I literally just imagine them going into the meeting and sitting down, and they just like before they show the first slide, they're just like Link's Awakening, and the room's like, let's go. We're so ready for this. Like obviously, it's gonna be interesting to see the timeline. The thing that's also nice about Kickstarter is gonna be so public. You know, like seeing new art and stuff. So kudos to them.
Hype.
Also significant to the Easy Allies panelists, Patreon, and community are five new trademarks from Supermassive Games in the
Oh,
Dark
yeah.
Pictures Anthology.
Yeah, dude.
5 new
Halloween.
trademarks.
Yes, dude.
Halloween is set.
Isla, we're
5
gonna
years.
need this image.
Yeah, because I
If you
know
can dig
yeah.
this
they
up.
each have different
Right.
vibes to them.
Oh, you bet they do.
Yes.
Hubert, do you think you're the type of consumer that can maybe sniff out some of these vibes?
Absolutely. Let's
Do you
go.
Probably can.
Do you think with your film experience, you can
Oh.
maybe look at these
This
logos and
room
kind
and Isla?
of
Absolutely.
start to
100%.
All right.
because
Oh
this
my
is
gosh.
because here we go. Wait,
Wicker
no, we
Man,
need to
right
zoom in.
there.
We
We
need
need
to
to zoom in.
Wicker
We need to
Man.
wait. Hold on, everyone.
Wicker Man is definitely
literally
No.
Crow
folk
font.
horror.
Zoom in, please.
Zoom in.
Download that image and then
Hang
boot up
on.
the image.
Yeah, Craven
open
Man is
image.
just a
Yeah,
Wicker
there we
Man.
go.
For sure.
So there's the Craven Man Directive 80/20.
Oh my
Sci-fi.
gosh.
Sci-fi,
Yeah.
dude.
It's like a
But 80/20 has a moon, so it's like
With a-
werewolf
Yeah.
sci-fi.
but it's like,
Is that
no, it's
a
like a
moon or a
moon with like
skull?
a skull.
Werewolves
eye
on the
in it.
moon.
It's
Yeah.
Dark Pictures.
I
It's
feel
a
like it's
skull and
sci-fi.
a moon.
Odef, Winterfold, Silent Hill vibes,
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh,
and
Death.
What is that?
Intercession.
Death, I feel
That's
like.
the curator.
That looks like the curator.
Death to me is going to be the one that was teased last in
It's not quite the curator.
What was the one we just played?
House of Ash.
House of Ashes. Yeah, remember you?
It's like a curator, it's like a Joker card or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember the post-credits tease? And it was it's the H.H. Holmes thing.
Yeah.
It's a riff on H.H. Holmes.
Yeah, it seems like Odette.
That's that one.
Okay.
That's that one for sure. It's like a haunted mansion type serial killer thing.
The Thing.
Winterfold does seem like it could
So
be the
yeah,
thing, but it
Winterfold's
looks
like a street
it looks
sign.
Like a street sign. yeah.
Ravenholm vibes.
Okay, I thought it was
Because
like
when you first get
ice.
into Ravenholm, you see the sign. It looks
was
exactly
ice.
like that.
Intercession could be vampires or like the Crusades.
Inquisition,
Or something.
Crusades.
Or I was
yeah.
thinking like an Exorcist
The
kind of
T in
thing.
intercession
Yeah.
is like an upside down,
It's
the
an upside down
cross
cross.
slash
Calling it now,
sword.
But it does look very like vampire-y.
Intercession is like Dark Pictures Anthology Origins. Get ready. We're going all the way back.
Sure.
We are discovering this.
I could also see kind of like a what was the Tom Hanks, Dan Brown series, the one with
Angels and Demons.
yeah, the one the
Da
one with,
Vinci
like,
Code?
the helicopter
Code,
at the end. Not Da Vinci Code, specifically Angels and Demons.
Angels
like
and
that
Demons
one.
was actually sick.
just like a turmoil in Rome,
Yeah,
you know,
I like that
just
movie.
like in House of Ashes, you're going deep into the caves, like going down into the tombs of like below Rome, or like digging up some old.
This is such a win because this whole time I've been so nervous. All of season 1 of Dark Pictures, they were like, oh, this is just season 1. Like they've had this long-term plan. And like, I was nervous they weren't going to be able to do it because
do
there's
too,
been
yeah.
hype there. The sales have been okay, but I was nervous that it just wasn't going to happen.
It's like
So this
Hitman.
is- Yes.
You keep hearing how well Hitman's
Yes.
doing, but I'm
it's
still
always like,
nervous.
yeah.
I'm still ready for it to be canceled. I'm still
Totally.
ready for some
Totally.
media plan to just crumble and
They're-
no, we're not doing
It's
it.
like they're all in, Jones.
Yeah.
They're all
Well,
in,
what's-
doubling down.
What I appreciate from a brand manager perspective of how they did this
Yeah.
is this was just a trademark. There's no trailer. They just trademarked these names. And I love how people are coy about trademarks a lot of the time. So like people trademark something. No, we're not. No. I know you're excited about that thing, but we're just making sure we're covering our bases. They had these logos ready. Like they knew people were going to come knocking.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Straight
by
up
the way.
MCU announcement right here.
Oh, Death is a folk song also from
Yeah.
like the late 1800s.
It's in Oh Brother Where Art
yeah,
Thou.
it's in Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and like
Death.
the guy does look like a combination of the curator and like there are sickles behind him.
Everyone picked their
it's
most
like
anticipated.
Maybe he's
Well,
a
I get.
Grim
Hold on.
Reaper
We
or
got
something.
to go through all this.
Yeah,
I get.
I mean, that seems very much like it would fit the curator.
Like the curator
Yeah.
could be Death. That's what. Yeah.
Well, it's like with the game, it makes me think of, I know Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, but what Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is making fun of, the classic.
Seventh Seal.
Yeah, with the death and who directed
Haven't
that?
there
Was it
been
Bergman?
shots of like
Yeah,
the
Bergman.
curator with like lightning flashes and you see like his
Yeah,
skull?
he has a skull face sometimes.
And Craven Man is not the bees, right?
Wicker Man
No,
for
that's
sure.
Wicker Man.
Well, I know, but I
Yeah.
mean, there's going to be
it's
not
a
the
folk
bees.
horror for sure. Like
Yeah.
look,
Bees are
look at
taking
it.
someone out in Craven Man.
Yeah.
Cool.
It looks like
Yeah.
a folk horror. for
There
sure.
will be a bees nod.
Like that's almost a nod to the Wicker Man logo. I think
It really looks like it a
Blair
lot.
Witch vibes for sure. And it's fun. It's like parody, but it's serious. Like House of Ashes looks like parody because I haven't played it. How much did it feel like parody when you played it? Like where are they
There's
at
some-
tonally?
There's some funny parts, but it takes itself really seriously.
Yeah.
But there's also moments of jokiness
It
and
like rides the line.
yeah, it
You have to
really
release.
rides-
It's
Like, you need
not
comedy and
It's
horror.
not as
Yeah.
jokey as Until Dawn.
No.
No, like it's very serious with moments of humor, I guess.
Like Craven Man font like is the
Yeah,
Wicker Man.
it
The
really
early
is.
Wicker Man font. Like almost. It's a little wider. Ugh, I love folk horror, dude.
Yo,
So good for them. And
Yellow
how long did
Jacket
these
style.
roll
Yellow
out?
Jackets.
Do we get like 2 last year in 2021?
No, it's
or
been
like
one a year.
one a year? Okay,
Has it really been one a year?
cool.
so maybe we will get 2 this year just cause.
No.
No,
I
just
kind of
one.
don't think so. I think they want
It's one every
keep that
Halloween for
October
5
going.
years. I'm telling you.
I mean, yeah.
5-year plan. Dying Light 2.
It's
Five-year
like
plan.
the theme parks doing
It's gonna be more
the.
successful.
But you know what's super feel good about this though? Because like
It really is feel good.
I got the
love-
vibes from kind of I don't know. I just had the vibes that they were like, we might get to do one more. We might get to
Yeah.
do like I don't know. And like even at the end of House of Ashes,
Yeah.
like earlier he was standing next to like a bunch of books. At the end of House of Ashes, there was only like one book next to him that like wasn't done yet or what I can't remember exactly. But like even in game, I remember thinking like, oh man, they're only gonna do like one more, huh?
Yeah.
This just feels so good to be like,
Yeah.
yes, dude, 5 more.
Totally.
Sick.
Totally.
I remember when I found out that Knott's Berry Farm, which is local here in California, does Knott's Scary Farm, and how that's like 82% of their yearly operating budget. It's like they make the year every,
Hey, wait
and
a
that's why the
minute.
pandemic was super
Yeah.
rough.
Wait a minute. So I just looked at the Wikipedia to see the releases.
The Wicker Manpedia?
For Dark Pictures Anthology. Man of Medan was 19. Little Hope was 20. House of Ashes 21. The Devil in Me is the next one, 22. I forgot about that. So
Okay, so
next
the
one's not
Devil
even
in
on
Me is
there.
the H.H.
Right.
Holmes
Yeah,
murder
yeah.
hotel
Right.
type
Right.
thing. Okay,
I forgot that that's
separate.
the name of it. So there are 6 coming confirmed.
Separate. Alrighty.
Or these are just comic books and we're getting way.
Oh no.
Well,
Or
I mean,
something.
Netflix shows.
it's not the dark
my
comic
God.
books, the dark pictures.
They're Blumhouse movies. They're doing like a Netflix package of movies. That could be wild too.
What I think is
Interactive Netflix. Hmm?
What I think is
Yeah.
great about this is it's weird because of like, in some ways, like, okay, yeah, it's a little formulaic or whatever, but it's like, no, you've got like a winning formula
Yep.
that you
Yeah.
can
You
focus
totally
on.
do. A
and
new
you
one
can
every time.
just tell good stories with, you
Yeah.
know, and again, it's like that movie night experience.
Yep.
They
Well,
all
it's-
get
yeah.
75s.
Also-
like,
Right.
It's perfect.
But it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
I'm not usually into celebrity casting in video games, but with this series, it's exciting.
Right.
Getting a new face of each one in there, like you said, just brand new setting, brand new style. Like it's like such a winning formula.
There's not many things you could think of. Like if Lego locked down 5 more brands for the next 5 years of weird Lego games we're going to get, I wouldn't be as oh, okay, cool. Yeah, neat.
Yeah.
Lego Life is Strange. Okay, that'll be weird, but like this stokes the imagination.
Yeah, I mean,
like
this is what
few
every-
headlines we get on this podcast.
This is what every FMV game wished it was.
Yes.
Exactly.
This is what they were all going for.
Yo, I hope the
Oh,
Craven
wait.
Man is Mads.
That
Dude, that would be sick.
That'd be so sick.
what
I
the
just
heck is
noticed-
Matt's doing?
This feels like a Marvel phase announcement right here. Look at it's like the
Yeah.
logo. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Phase 2,
the
Dark
Dark
Pictures.
Pictures universe.
The Dark Pictures universe. Yeah. Dude, I just noticed a subtle difference on this graphic. Dark Pictures, Craven Man. Dark Pictures, Directive, blah, blah, blah. Dark Pictures presents Odette.
Odette.
Oh, yeah.
So that
yeah.
implies that Odette is like a smaller thing,
Oh, yeah.
maybe? Or it's like an offshoot?
Yeah,
Or
and
it's
how
for
does-
sure that's the curator.
And
it's
how does
like-
the Devil in Me fit into that island?
Right.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
It's weird, slight difference there. That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then the intercession like crosses over on the logos.
Yeah, the I, it's a T in intercession and an I in pictures.
Yo, Intercession is a House of Ashes origin story. It's my theory.
Well, yeah, that would
the
actually would be
timetable's
weird
wrong,
if
isn't it?
if these things do start crossing, if we get characters that move from one to the next.
That'd be so good. I love these. They're so
Yup.
silly. I
They're
love them so much.
fun. I can't wait.
Best game to play in one night,
Twitch.tv/EasyAllies, October 30th or 31st.
Launch day, dude. Every
yeah.
time.
Plug them into the website after we're done this podcast. That would be great.
Schedule them.
If you could do the
Upcoming
schedule those out.
6 years
That'd
in
be
a
good.
row.
You know we're good for it. And now, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. We talk about BetterHelp a lot on the show, and this month we're discussing some of the stigmas around mental health. Many people think therapy is for so-called crazy people, but therapy doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you recognize that all humans have emotions. We need to learn to control them, not avoid them. One of the things I was thinking about lately, I think about therapy quite a bit. And when I think about therapy, I make the direct connection to BetterHelp because I'm like, this is how we can share that we can have this conversation about therapy. One of the biggest things, Amanda gives me the gold star whenever I tell her about my emotional issues. When I label an emotion, I'm like, I'm mad. Why am I mad? Oh, I'm mad because of that. Just making that connection, it's like, oh, cool. Now I can just kind of stare at that and put that away. I don't have to have it buzzing around my head because now I'm aware of what's happening. Therapy can do that for you. It's done that for me. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try and see why over 2 million people have used BetterHelp online therapy. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Easy Allies listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/allies. That's BetterHelp.com/allies. Go to betterhelp.com/allies to get 10% off your first month. Today's episode is also sponsored by Honey, the easy way to save when shopping on your iPhone or computer. Thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds in your cart. Gotta be honest, don't use Honey every single time I shop, but every single time I shop, Honey is there. It's just a little friend. It's the little Navi from Ocarina of Time. Just, hey, whoa, listen, 10%, 10%. You know, just like fun coupons pop up. So it's just nice having that there, whether you actually do, whether you make the sale, whether you actually are able to save money on something, it is always there, letting you know the possibilities. Here's how it works. Imagine you're shopping on one of your favorite sites. When you check out, the Honey button appears. All you have to do is click Apply Coupons. You wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons it can find for that site. How fun is that? Just watching it being like, wait a minute, money, money. If Honey finds a working coupon, you'll watch the prices drop. Honey doesn't just work on desktop. It works on your iPhone too. Just activate it on Safari on your phone and save on the go. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. And by getting it, you're doing yourself a solid and supporting the show. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/allies. That's joinhoney.com/allies. And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you. This week was a state of play
Kind of too, but yeah.
on Gran Turismo 7. And I took no notes.
Oh, I didn't bring my notes, but yeah.
Well, let's start with Michael Huber then. Gran Turismo, where are we at this year? What's
This is a
coming
new
up?
beginning. This is all the lapsed Gran Turismo players out there like myself. Time to jump back in. This feels like the perfect time, the perfect moment, the perfect storm for Gran Turismo 7 to make a triumphant return to greatness. So hyped for this. I've not been this excited for a Gran Turismo game since 5 never came out. You know? Gran Turismo Prologue.
Right.
Yeah, how do you preview a game like this? Like, where do you start? Where do they usually start?
Well, I mean, yeah, they were walking through all kinds of different things, but they started with talking about the 25th anniversary of the series and talking about how, you know, car culture has become less of a thing, you know, in popular society. You know, and really acknowledging that, you know, Gran Turismo needs to find ways to, you know, appeal to people, to bring new people in that wouldn't necessarily have looked at the series in the past. And so they have some things like the cafe, which is kind of a new feature where you like there's just this cozy little cafe and you get these little menus that you pick up and you do this thing with that car and that car or whatever, and then you know the owner walks out afterwards, or somebody that designed the car will come and tell you about, you know, their thought processes and all this. So, you know, there's just like a lot of little things like that. They've done a lot more in terms of community features and more options for paint jobs. 2,500 freaking places to take photos of your car.
Well, yeah.
It's just insane. You know, and the photographs that they showed in the state of play were just gorgeous. You know, that's like probably one of the more complex photo modes that's out there. And that's just, you know, all on top of the kind of standard campaign that you sort of expect.
What I expect is Gran Turismo from Sony. It's an interesting franchise because it's not, like, I have not been a part in my years of gaming coverage of conversations being like, oh, is this series in trouble? Like, what are they going to do? Like, it's just, how long is it going to take? But this seems just like something that is such a mainstay. Do you think the investment's going to pay off that time? I guess what I'm saying is I'm not impressed by numbers when they're like, look at all these big numbers. Like, well, you're in development for a super long time. So, yes, one would hope. Does it seem like a game that's been in development for a long time?
Oh, yeah. Gran Turismo takes a while for sure. It'll be interesting to see how people respond, if a lot of newcomers will jump in. You know, I look over to what Horizon is doing, and I feel like that is so universal.
Right.
Like, even if you don't like cars, Forza Horizon is just so fun to exist in that world and to just drive around and see what happens.
Yeah.
Whereas Gran Turismo is like cars. Like, do you love cars? Like, this is a simulation, not a soaring over dunes, you know? So very different, but
Yeah, because it's like one of the things that, you know, it's, you know, Yamauchi was very excited about bringing up was that, the settings menu where like you adjust all the fine tuning of like, how wide your wheels are and how much, the gear
drivetrain
and all
and
that stuff.
all that.
And it's like, and he loves the simulation aspect of it so much that like he's like, oh, he's calling this a mini game. It's like it's not really like because when he said that, it's like, oh, what's in there? It's like, oh, you just change the numbers and then it runs a simulation that shows you how much better your car is. But at the same time, like I saw people that, like as soon as that screen came up, I was like, oh, all right, that game's not for me.
Sure. And other people just double down.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Which again, it's like, how do you?
And it's like you don't have to interact with that stuff. I probably am not going to interact with that stuff that much. But it's very it's very intimidating. So I'm curious, like, will they do enough to? Because I feel like no game has really done that much. So like, really, how do you introduce that to people? It's like, what makes tuning fun? Unless you're just naturally going to gravitate to going in there and fiddling with it yourself.
God, they should do like, the license tests,
Yeah.
Blood. They should do something like that, like a system like the licenses, but for tuning.
Right.
To really ease you into it one thing at a time. Like, let's do suspension only right now.
80% of that menu.
Yeah.
Just focus on a
One
couple of
at a
things at a time. Yeah.
Totally.
Because I'd be scared to like make a mistake. I think that's the scary thing. So I'm
Sure.
just like, how do I?
You tune your
How
car
do I know
poorly.
if
Yeah, that seems so overwhelming.
Or if I just want to go back to a version it was before, but I'm like, I don't even
Well,
remember.
and then one of
It's
the-
like hair color. It's like
One of
my
the-
original red is gone forever.
One of the great things that Horizon does is you can just pick other people's tunes. And I didn't tune the cars at all. I was just like go to the tuning shop, look at people's tunes, and like, okay, and it has like the web to like, okay, this much better here. That I don't really care for that. Okay, and then I could go through. It's like, okay, cool.
Maybe
and then
there
I
will
would
be.
see the differences based on what other people built, but I didn't have to like actually go in and tweak all that stuff myself. And that included swapping the parts and all of those sorts of things.
Maybe they'll have a recommended setting for each car or something.
Yeah.
Where you can just like click
That'd
one
be
button.
nice, yeah.
Automatic, do it. Like,
Only tangentially related, but on the drive in tonight to the office, 2 hours ago, drove by a guy driving an Aston Martin DB5, and I was like,
It was Jim Ryan. He cut me off. I was like, what?
yeah, no, I know his name because it was part of his. It was 00 blank. I won't say what it is, but that was his license plate. But yeah, it was. I love that car. Anyway,
it's a cool car. Cool car.
And then one of the other cool things that I like that they're adding is they're doing this music rally. And so I explained this to Huber in the preview, but basically, so like the idea is when you're racing, you don't want to listen to music because you want to hear what the engine's doing and the tires are doing and what other racers are doing. So like, but people are like, well, we want to just like, you've got 300 songs in this game. We want to like just listen to some of this music and drive. And so this is a mode where you just listen to a song and drive. And so like you can get medals by driving better, but otherwise you can just chill out and do that.
I found I enjoy doing that
Yeah.
much more. I didn't realize how much chilling out and driving around places was missing from my life. How'd this game look? Because that's a fairly important thing in the
It looks
franchise.
good. The more impressive stuff is just when they talk about like underlying things like the weather and like simulating the freaking planets in the sky to be accurate to the
What?
region
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
world that you're in.
Car
Why?
planet simulation.
Shenmue
He
Passport.
explained how weather works so that he could go through the whole thing of like how the clouds form and stuff over different tracks and how that affects the ambient air temperature and the aerodynamics when you get behind another car. And yeah.
Today at work, Daddy explained how weather works.
Yeah.
Because, I wonder how competitive within the racing genre. It's one thing to get all these new players in. Among the people that have the curved, monitor on my PC with the racing wheel, strictly play Codemasters games, like, do you think, going to make a jump over to a series that I haven't played that much? Or, I'll buy Turismo next year when they have more events logged into the game. Or like, whoa, look at this game, I got to play this.
Sim racing fans definitely have their factions, and there are people who definitely they don't even consider Forza and Gran Turismo as sims, which just blows my mind. Like when you just look at the way that man talked about everything,
Yeah.
this is a simulation. Might not do the things that you want it to do or take the approach you want. It's a simulation, but yeah, I think that sport to a lot of people felt like a lesser. Like a portion of a game, whereas in 7, like sport is a mode in 7, and then it's got all of this other stuff wrapped around it. So I think just that the idea that this is 7, 6 was way back on the PS3. I think a lot of people are just gonna want to jump in and get back to Gran Turismo. Let's see what Gran Turismo is doing now. Yeah,
great timing. I imagine there'll be a PSVR 2 something with this game. Look at the cars in VR. Oh yeah.
They had a mode in sport, actually, for the first VR, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a PSVR 2 launching with like just being able to look at cars.
Some kind of cross thing, maybe some like something free comes out, but it's also in the game. But if you have the game, it adds stuff, but you can also demo it, but you can buy just the VR part or what. Yeah. Be interesting. Getting right to it. It's funny, Damiani, driving a car in VR, one of the things actually still kind of throws me into a lurch just a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
Because and I remember playing Ace Combat 7.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, I'm going to lose my lunch immediately. And I'm doing barrel rolls. I'm like, whatever, because I'm not tied to anything.
Yeah.
When you put the tires on the curb, then there's a possibility of it getting out of sync. Then there's a possibility of, wait, the game zigged and I zagged.
Right.
And that's when,
Okay.
whereas like, if I'm in a plane, whatever,
But yeah, in a car, you've got bouncing and all. Yeah.
But we'll see. Obviously, no brainer, especially getting up close. If you love the cars, you want to see the cars.
Yep.
Don't worry, Damiani. You can come back to this podcast. I'm going to reel you back in. You ready? Nintendo financials, baby.
Yeah, Damiani.
We get the MPDs, but this is Nintendo touting and celebrating. What does Nintendo have to celebrate, Damiani? What are they celebrating this week?
They just officially passed the lifetime sales of the Wii.
Those are a lot of sales.
That's
And the PS1.
That's a lot of console sales.
Yes, and that's as of December 31st, 2021. So 3 more months left for the fiscal year to go even higher. They're chasing that crown. They're going for that has a realistic shot of chasing that PS2/DS top of the mountain there. Software sales doing very well too. What was it? They had some updates out. Metroid Dread, fastest selling Metroid game. Also in this period has almost sold as much as the best selling the best selling Metroid game, which is Metroid Prime, in its lifetime. So just in like that short amount of time it's been out, it's almost become the best selling Metroid game. It will be by the end of this fiscal year, and that is a big win for Metroid. It has to be very, very pleasing news to hear that for sure. You have to imagine there's going to be more Metroid on the way after that.
Yeah.
Power of Switch.
Heck
there.
yeah.
The Switch is like the real life Mario power up. Like it is the closest thing in our
Right.
lives we've gotten to just put it on.
Well, and
And most of the times it works.
yeah, I mean, it's 103 million is the number right now.
103.54 mil.
Yeah. The thing that's really different with Switch is that way that it kind of like makes everything rise. A lot of Nintendo's past systems, even when they're successful, when you got to this sort of back half of the life cycle, the release schedule is starting to really thin out. It really felt like, okay, they're putting their eggs onto next gen or whatever.
Time for new Zelda.
And the third-party support would dry up, and it feels like a lot of games are still doing really well and healthy on Switch, and Metroid is a prime example. It's doing better than other Metroid games have, and that's been the case for a lot of series. It's like they bring one out on Switch, and now they're doing better than they ever have in the past.
Even games that people thought might have not been doing well, you see these numbers and you realize how well they're doing. There's a lot of back and forth over Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and it is literally in the top 10. It's already in the top 10. It should already have passed Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Probably won't catch up to Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield is like way up there, really high. So like just showing that like even like a remake / remaster that was of maybe questionable quality to some people's opinions, still like people like to play games on their Switch. I think it was interesting. Ring Fit reached another milestone. I think it broke like 11 million or something around there. But it surpassed Splatoon 2, which everyone's like, that's a wildly, crazily popular series, and especially in Japan, doing very well. Everyone highly anticipating Splatoon 3. And Ring Fit Adventure just like came out of nowhere when it did,
COVID,
and yeah, it just
COVID.
keeps selling.
It was so necessary. That's like a necessary purchase during the lockdown. You know,
Is a sequel necessary? Do you rush? Do you get
There
content to that game,
I
or
feel
is
like
it a Mario
there-
Kart 8 Deluxe where it's like, why? Why are you doing it?
I feel like they'll make a sequel, but it won't be as big.
I wonder if Wii
But I feel
Sport.
like
I
they
wonder if
will.
Wii Sports Resort was like the last time they're like, why do a sequel
Right.
to anything?
Well, remember, Wii Fit was very similar.
Yeah.
Just
Just
port it.
giant, huge board, and
Different gimmick there.
but Wii Fit
Yeah.
got a lot of those huge sales as well.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe just like keeps going supernova. I mean, what's that like?
Sold more than Mario Party Superstars.
Mario Kart Superstar still sold pretty well.
I know, but Mario Kart 8 didn't come out this year or last year or
Mario
the
Kart
year
8
before
though,
that.
man. It's Mario Kart 8. It's GTA.
Yeah.
It's out of control.
It's
powerful.
it's up there. But I mean the best news is it's like that. It's like you got Pokemon, you got Animal Crossing, Smash, and then right there in the top 5 still is good old Breath of the Wild. Like crossed 25 million.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's really nice.
Feels really good to see a Zelda game. It keeps climbing like that. I
It
mean,
feels like anyone who buys a Switch is just like obligated to buy Breath of the Wild.
yeah, it's like you're buying.
Like, okay.
Well,
Like you have to.
1
Yeah.
and 4 by the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the attachment rate could. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that was probably like attachment rate could be better. We gotta get it.
Yeah,
like
1 and
200.
4? Shit.
Yeah,
Should be like 1 and 2.
boys are 50
What is the
million.
number on Mario Kart? The full total number?
It's like
43.35.
Almost half.
Units.
Almost half of Switch owners have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
and Animal Crossing things right behind it too. It's like just giants there. There was like more than just the fiscal report stuff. There was a Q&A session. There was a question there. That's pretty
Oh, yeah, I
interesting.
didn't
don't know
see
if
the
you
Q&A
have,
yet.
sorry, do you have that?
Well, it's such a flex week for Nintendo. There was one flex in particular.
Oh, what was the flex?
Well, I don't know if this is from the Q&A, but Furukawa was asked about acquisitions.
Yes, this is it. This
And
is so
basically,
interesting.
and basically was like, the actual quote: "Our brand was built upon products crafted with dedication by our employees." Hard to argue against that.
Yeah.
A large number who don't possess Nintendo DNA in our group, which is that. Is that a medical thing? Is that like you literally do you get wheeled? Do you
I
get
don't
wheeled
even
into
know.
a room and Wesker comes around the corner, clink clink?
Kirby just like sucks you up and like there you go. You get some
that coming out
In
this
our
year?
group,
Yeah, March.
would not be a plus. No, we don't need. You don't know outsiders.
It's a unique stance to have. It's also something Nintendo has been they're not known to just do acquisitions for the sake of getting into an arms race with everyone with other companies. They do it out of necessity. The last one they did, Next Level Games, was only because they were seen as essential to Mario and the Luigi's Mansion's development going further after Luigi's Mansion 3 did so well. And they wanted to become public, and Nintendo's like, nah, our plans align with you. We're going to buy you outright. Whereas there's been instances where they've bought companies like, we don't care about you anymore. Alpha Dream. I mean, they had them for a while, but like when it came time for it, when the Mario and Luigi wasn't like selling up to up to what their expectations were, they just let them go. But obviously they're going to continue to make like Mario RPG style games. I think the interesting thing is going to be. We talked about this on the last episode of Friend Code, and it was all fun speculation, but I think the real question is, like, what happens when Microsoft and Sony's arms race gets out of hand and they buy up, like, everyone? Like,
it is out of hand.
Yeah, I
like,
was gonna
like
say.
the rumors and stuff. This has not happened, but, like, everyone keeps saying, well, Capcom's next, Square Enix is next. What about, like, EA or Ubisoft? It's like, if those companies vanish from the table and, like, can they not work with Nintendo? Like, this argument they make, our first-party games are strong. But even Switch has relied on big third-party releases. Last year was Monster Hunter Rise,
Right.
one of the biggest titles of the year. They still need those relationships. I assume they'll still exist because Nintendo's is in this weird place where they're not really directly competing with the high-end stuff. So like everyone's like Phil Spencer and Microsoft, they're like, we love Nintendo. Here's some like in smaller games, and we want to work with you. And Smash Brothers, our character Smash, great. And like I'm sure if it ever came push to shove, Sony would probably be like, yeah, we'll work with Nintendo somehow. Like we'll do something with you someday.
But that's sort of what it comes down to as well, right? Because it's like you're saying, it's like, well, they're not really competing. It's like, no, they're not. They're beating them
That's
month after month, year
Easily.
after year. So
Easily,
why do
yeah.
we need to acquire anybody? Because we're doing what we need to do.
So that's a good point because I think I was gonna say that like it's not the like that mentality that people have that Nintendo has sometimes. Like I don't think it's either they're just like shoveling out like because it's like PR speak or that they really believe it. I think it's kind of dangerous because while they have strong IPs, they have a strong brand, and yes, they're doing very well. Switch is not going to keep doing this for like forever. There will come a point where it will not be selling more than 20 million a year in a fiscal year anymore. It'll like go down. The ride has to end sometime. And there's no guarantee a successor is going to be as successful as the Switch. So like I just feel they always talk about always working on new hardware, always thinking about the future. I really hope they're looking towards the future and like the answer that Furukawa gives, sure, it might be too short on the spot. Like, we really haven't given a lot of serious thought to mergers and acquisitions. So just feed them out some answer about this. But if the landscape keeps changing, I wonder if they have to, like, really consider, like, what are they going to do? What is their plan going to be forward? Will being enough? Because we've had instances where them being in their own stuff wasn't enough. GameCube, like N64, GameCube. Wii U, like they definitely have misfires when their hardware doesn't shine. So their software is generally pretty good, but they've also had some misfires with their software as well. So like they're not infallible. They're definitely not infallible. So
one would think they don't foul a lot. I don't know. It's tough to criticize that company, as we've said many times. Mm-hmm. Is that what? This is an overgeneralization, but why not? Let's have fun. Is that basically what Xbox and Sony are doing right now? Is that just particularly Xbox? Is he bringing all of these companies behind closed doors and infusing them with Xbox DNA? Because he just wants that Nintendo. Like they're chasing the metaverse, but Nintendo's been doing the metaverse since Super Smash Brothers and the Nintendo 64. Like they already had their own characters. They crossed into their own games. They're doing cameos. They were doing their own Fortnite, with cartridges, 20 years ago. So are they playing catch up in a weird way? Nintendo has the best business model, but the weakest console, just graphics wise. Like, what a weird place to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of these things where, everybody's chasing growth, right? And Xbox is trying to get into that mobile market with xCloud and all of that kind of thing, and Sony's trying to get into more of that live service and get that revenue going. That EA has been EA and Take-Two have just been living off of that stuff. So I think that they're trying to hit these other markets and the other revenue streams, and a lot of that stuff, the financially trendy moves, I guess.
Right.
Nintendo usually isn't interested in because they've got a chest full of money, and no, they're not the richest company in the world or anything. But they're going to make things that they think are in favor of the player most of the time. And sometimes that means they do fall behind trendy things like making good online structures.
Oh, my God.
But they have a place in that market that's not going away. Yeah. All these other things sort of like, here's another market, here's another market, here's another market. They're not replacing things, right? Like mobile phones didn't replace consoles, and they probably never will. Cloud gaming is probably not going to replace them either, but they add on, and Nintendo's place hasn't really changed in that time.
We're talking about Crysis, Huber, because Crysis 4, Crysis coming back.
Crazy.
Franchise made its name on the best visuals in the industry, and like Pokemon has made its name on the opposite of that. It's like that's not at all why you come to here. Like that's not.
It is such an interesting difference of philosophical approach, and like clearly neither of them in this case is wrong, but like Nintendo's very homogenous, insular. Like they do their playbook, but then Microsoft is like trying to do the same thing through diversity and like differentiation and like buying stuff but being like no they can still be themselves, and Sony to some extent as well. It's just interesting to see these two giants of the industry taking polar opposite approaches. It's cool. I don't know.
It's like Microsoft and Sony keeps changing up the game. Nintendo's played that slow game the whole time.
Forever.
They just lose sometimes. The Wii U slow game didn't work. The Switch slow game. Holy cow. They're like, yeah, we're halfway through the Switch's life cycle.
Right, but the thing is, their successes are so high.
Yeah.
It's like
Too big to fail.
we can write out 3 failures in a row.
Well, I don't know. Was this true, Damiani? Maybe you know if this is actually true or just a rumor. But didn't Nintendo say that they have like $30 million just like liquid cash that they can just like kind of just ride whatever?
Let's say they have a
30 million.
chest.
Or some.
Do they have
some
do they have a
amount of
chest like an
the
actual?
thing is, they have like their own like quote unquote war chest of like billions, like not millions, like
money.
billions of dollars.
That's
the
even more
war
than I thought.
chest.
I mean, that's what media articles at the time referred to. I mean, that was their vernacular, but
Below
that's-
I guess
Orgrimmar.
30 million is like nothing.
yeah,
now
like
that I
no,
think about it.
they have a lot of
For
money on hand.
Nintendo.
The thing, I don't remember if you ever heard this, Budworth, but the thing that used to always fly in the GameCube days was Nintendo could have like 3 or 4 console failures in a
Right.
row, like abysmal, and that would still not phase them. Like it would be like they could weather that many and like still be okay. But the thing was, they always had a component to their consoles. They had the handheld. The handhelds have like never floundered. They've always
Right.
performed well, and that's where Pokemon historically has always been. Now it's on Switch. They only have one platform, their own hardware at the moment. So it would be interesting to see if there was a Switch successor, and it did not. It's hard to imagine it wouldn't have some semblance of the popularity that Switch has. It's like they'd have to give it a really goofy name and give it like a really goofy hook that no one could understand at this point.
I think at some point it would have to be something like the gamepad, where it's like they just have this idea that nobody has any like what I don't understand. Yeah.
I guess Nintendo's cash on hand is roughly $9.4 billion right now.
It was like $6 billion in like the 2000s or
Yeah.
something. They probably only made way more.
2016 it was 7. Yeah, it's
That's
just gone
barely
up and up.
3 Bungies.
Yeah, you look
But
at
yeah,
what,
you look at Microsoft
Yeah.
and like the Xbox business with Game Pass and everything. There's still a lot of questions of like, has Microsoft really actually ever made money on Xbox? Hard
Yeah.
to say.
that's the thing. Like Nintendo's about like making their profits and making sure their stuff is like their business model is about profitability immediately. Like the whole thing was like they don't sell consoles for a loss for like the longest time. But as you were saying, Bloodworth, like yeah, they definitely have their own style that they stick to. And when you look at it in the context of it's just one platform, some of those games achieving those sales just on one platform is extraordinary. Like if you like imagine like just if Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was multi-platform, imagine that game would be like a GTA. It would be like doing Grand Theft Auto numbers if it was on like every platform, possibly, maybe. But at the same time, they've had so many shortcomings, online being one of them, and like it's almost inexcusable at this point. It's not you can't you're like, oh, it's Nintendo style. Like it's wrong.
give it a
It's
free
bad. It's wrong and it's bad. And if anyone at an executive level still thinks that like their online is good or like suitable, it's not. It is so far behind. It's something like so many people are clamoring for and asking, like, please just give us this. It's like. And like the thing is they're so successful there's no pressure
don't
on
need
them
to. Yeah,
to
they
do
don't
it.
need
That's
to
always
do
been their
anything.
problem. Yeah, the problem is their success is kind of like their weakness because sometimes I've heard people argue Nintendo's at its best when they're at their most vulnerable because they have to adapt, they have to take risks, get some of like the best, most exciting things when they've been at their lowest point. Like Switch came out of the low point of being off the Wii U. All those exciting ideas that we've seen in the last few years were like born of, oh, well, the Wii U floundered and none of those games really, like, they had good software on there and some of them was ported, but man, we got to be a little bit more ambitious. We got like, I mean, Breath of the Wild was in the works for a while, but I mean, even like up to now with like Arceus, do you ever imagine Game Freak had any incentive to do it's a whole other can of worms of how it looks and stuff in the reviews, but
Stay tuned to future friend codes.
The concept of it. It's like, I never thought they'd ever try that. Like,
Yeah.
why would they? Why do they even need to do that? We just said Diamond and Pearl remakes just sold like very well. Like, they have no incentive to do this. So there are these outliers sometimes where Nintendo does stick to its, like, we're about innovation. We're about players. We're about the gaming experience.
Right.
So
I still remember when we first saw the DS and everyone was like, oh yeah, touchscreen, that won't work for games.
this is a bad idea. Nope.
And, you know, it's a good week for Nintendo, Huber, but if we do want to hit those Game Boy numbers, what's that Game Boy number? We got 103.54 for the Switch. What's that Game Boy at?
Like 134 million?
118.
118.
Where's that DS at?
DS is higher, right? That's
my
got to be like
goodness.
145 mil.
54.
Wow.
154.02 million units sold.
And PS2 is above that, right? At like 180?
We already talked about Sony. Sony conversation's over. I don't know.
I think it's like slightly higher than DS. It's like
Yeah.
160 up somewhere above 160 million.
Dude, if Switch really is only halfway through, it'll totally get there.
Oh yeah, they reiterated.
155.
Dude, this system is like, it just feels so outdated. And if we're only halfway through,
Yep.
that's. All
Settle
right.
in.
Okay.
Buckle up. Those mobile numbers, though, Nintendo. 346 million, 5.2% drop year on year. Can't waste time with that Dr. Mario nonsense. We gotta stick to strong IPs in mobile or nothing.
I mean, yeah, Mario Kart Tour or the Mario Kart hand mobile game. I forget its name at this.
Yeah, it's Mario Kart Tour.
Is it Mario Kart Tour? Keep forgetting. Fire Emblem Heroes is still going on. I mean, I think it was Dr. Mario got shut down, and I don't know how well
Crossing's
Animal
still
Crossing is
going.
still
Right?
going,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I don't know how successful it really is.
Yeah.
And then they had
Pikmin.
which I don't think that's doing anything.
Yeah.
And then Dragalia Lost or whatever
right.
for the Cygames partnership. I mean, that did well at first. I don't know how it's doing anymore, but you gave us the numbers. It was
Yeah.
down a little bit. So
I don't know how the Pikmin bloom is doing, but my neighborhood is flowered and fantastic.
Really?
I don't know about the game in general, but only one way to find out. Let's talk NFTs. Now, I find NFTs funny,
boy.
but I don't expect other people to. What is funny, though? What is funny, and what I'm focusing on this week in terms of the theme of it. Oh, we went
I'm
red.
gonna change the lights when
like
we
it.
talk
When we
NFTs.
do NFTs.
I'll do the
No
betting lights.
funny talk.
Today,
Sith colors.
This week is about. I'm just speaking in absolutes.
Yeah.
NFT backtracking. Now that's funny.
Yes.
Right?
I love the NFT backtracking.
I got
Yes.
several for you, Huber.
Yes.
Several. Because I think.
Love it.
Because here's. I think.
Sorry.
This is a trial. I think NFTs are teaching us who loves their community and who does not. Because it's one thing to be ignorant about
Who's
your community.
paying attention.
Right. Well, but I think some people at Ubisoft is definitely paying attention. They're just not listening.
Right.
But they are they got the notes. They got a whole book full of notes. Team 17 had a week. They announced Meta Worms, an NFT project with just please not worms. I'm not even a big worms fan, but no, like that's such a cherished, beautiful, perfect 2D. I know there's 3D examples, but it's just such a it's just so please don't.
Please don't.
I actually don't have the specific notes, but who was it was that the Crab, Team Crab? Aggro Crab that was like, no, we're out. And I think the next day
We're out.
they
Yeah.
said
Team
no.
17, they also publish a lot of other indie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They canceled that project. It lasted for 34 hours.
the
Just-
anti-Kickstarter.
It's like when there's fundraisers and they have like the temperature gauge, It's just like how pissed will they get? Like, boo, like went up into the red and then okay, we'll cancel it. Andrew Wilson, the NFT of CEOs
This is the
from
best.
EA, said in a recent call that NFTs are not something they're currently quote driving on. We're not driving on that right now.
Yeah.
Funny thing, he previously said that NFTs were quote the future
Yeah.
of the industry.
Yeah.
So people were a little confused. Of course, he said that a couple years ago. Oh, sorry, 3 months ago he said that. Never mind. I'm sorry.
He 100%.
My bad.
He's 100% waiting for the dust to clear.
Sure.
He's letting everyone,
Yeah.
throwing people in front of the firing squad.
Right.
Like he's letting everyone take the heat.
They're not
And
driving
then-
on the road, but the car is the pedals on the gas,
Yeah.
and he's holding it above the road.
Yeah.
Just kind of waiting to drop
Yeah,
it.
they're gonna slip it in somewhere. It's
Yeah.
gonna be so sudden. Just like, oh yeah, we're doing that here. Like it's gonna happen.
Shout out to Troy Baker, who did have a rough week. We talked about it on the podcast last time. I want to include his quote. He tweeted out, "Thank you for all your feedback and patience. After careful consideration, I've decided to not continue the partnership with Voice First NFT. Intentions aside, I've heard you and apologize for accusing anyone of hating just by simply disagreeing with me." Not a good week for him. A Minecraft NFT project called Blockverse made $1.2 million and then deleted everything because they said they were being harassed. It's like, well, I don't.
Maybe that's the play. Like you grift the
snake
crypto
oil salesman.
bros
Oh, no.
for
Yeah.
$2 million, and then you just cancel it and be like, okay, sorry, but you like got out with $2 million.
Yeah.
Grift.
$2 million is like more than I'll ever make in my life. Like,
Yeah.
that's so much money. You do that and then you just flee the country. Is that what they're doing? Is
Give
that
it a
their
shot.
goal?
Let us know.
Like,
$5, patreon.com/easyallies. Get in love and respect. Let us know how that's going for you. Give us updates.
It isn't. Is there any update on Konami?
What's
Konami.
Lord,
Tell me.
Did
Not-
Konami get into NFTs?
Oh,
Yeah, what are you talking
you
about? They
see
sold Dracula's map and all that
Oh,
stuff.
right.
Yeah. That wasn't this week. That's the thing.
I
I mean, you
blocked
gotta.
that from my
What did Konami
mind.
do with NFTs this week?
I thought they gave a report that's saying their financial report saying that NFTs did very well for them.
I'm sure they did.
They had a record-breaking year because of
When you don't do much in gaming, NFTs look really good on your spreadsheet there.
and they're like they're
Konami.
committed, so
Yeah.
they're not backtracking on NFTs. They're doubling down.
Well, we'll get.
Don't be
Silent
scumbags.
Hill NFTs coming soon.
Yeah, 10 hours ago. They're committed to NFTs to preserve commemorative art, to preserve beloved
What a
content.
spin!
You don't even know how free Dracula's castle was before that purchase. It was just floating out there in the void, but now it's been secured. Now Dracula's castle's map from the original Castlevania is safe in the hands of whoever bought it.
Dude, they're gonna
for
get-
however many $1,000s.
The codec conversations from Metal Gear are going to turn those into NFTs.
Oh my god.
And you have to delete them all.
Yep, you're so
Riot
right.
Games retweeted something they didn't know was an NFT involving Killjoy from Valorant.
This is hilarious.
They apologized after the fact and were like, we didn't know it was an NFT because people were not only assuming, that you're involved in this, but you're saying that Killjoy is. So NFTs creeped into Valorant's lore through Riot's tweeting. And they later were like, no. They said, quote, work and hobbies. NFTs have nothing to do with Killjoy's, quote, work and hobbies. Riot Games is not involved in NFTs and had to apologize about them on Twitter.
Oh my god.
But
Don't poke the
as
bear
we've
with
stated,
NFTs.
some people are doubling down.
Oh,
Atari's getting into it with.
Oh god.
they've got nothing to lose. Yeah, this makes
Did
sense.
we not
Same with
talk about this
Konami,
already?
I
thought we
think,
talked about
I
the
think they
Atari
showed them
nonsense.
this week. I think they showed them this week because they said they were gonna. Everybody calls NFTs loot boxes. They're like, oh, they're just as bad as loot boxes. These are literally NFT loot boxes.
Yeah.
There's 10 images per. They call them GFTs because,
Oh,
they come
people,
wrapped
people
and they
brought
like
up
open
the,
up.
People brought up the old Devolver thing from a couple years ago. I think 2018.
That's like super accurate.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
Oh my god.
That's It's not parody anymore. That Devolver. They're catching up. Netmarble, which is based in Korea. Netmarble cannot sell NFTs in their own country because they're banned. So they gotta go. They gotta globetrot. Where in the world can we sell NFTs? They're preparing to launch 20 new titles, and 70% of those titles will be using blockchain technology.
It's just such a gold rush. It's such a scam.
The
it's a
difference
get
is there was
rich-
actually gold.
There was actually
sometimes
exactly. It's just this rush to make millions quickly.
There's
like,
chains in them blocks. But finally, all that's pretty good. And we laugh, we joke, we have a good time. I don't mean to burden you with NFTs, but man, some of these stories are so funny. No. The gold star of this week.
Oh gosh.
The right in the lead
Here we go.
is Nicholas Pouillard, the VP of Ubisoft's Strategic Innovations
right.
Lab,
Scumbag,
who
yeah.
said, quote,
Yeah.
I think gamers don't get what digital secondary market can bring to them. What we're seeing first, we being Ubisoft, what we are seeing first is the end game. The end game is about giving players the opportunity to resell their items once they're finished with them or they finish playing the game itself. So it's really for them. It's really beneficial. But they don't get it. For now, dun dun dun.
So he's trying to say, like, you can buy a digital thing and then sell it at GameStop.
It's the
So
Yeah, and they get a cut of that as well. That's
Oh,
in the
yeah.
Oh, I
fact,
thought
right?
it was something different. I talk about like your MMO account. Like that's one thing about you play that for how many years, and then you turn
Yeah.
around and sell it. Can you just say it's an NFT now and be like, I'm not violating your terms of service?
Yeah.
What's up?
Isla.
What's up? Yeah.
You just don't get it.
I don't want to get it.
It's
dude.
not. Yeah. Let me know when you do get it though, and I'll help you
I
unget
I think
it
that's
again.
the key right there. There's so many people like,
yeah,
I don't
it's
want to
They're
get
just
it.
trying to monetize like user content in some form, right? Like digital.
I mean,
user
they
content?
could.
Like, is this where it's going?
Yeah,
or something?
but they're also just going
Damiani, I
around
like what
ripping
you're
off
saying. I don't like the
everything, yeah.
user part of that though. Why can't we just why can't content just create itself? Why do we need designers? Why do we need consumers?
Didn't this already exist?
Can we create an AI that gives us money?
It bums me out. Like, I don't want it anywhere near video games. Like, please.
Or
Please
this
stop.
podcast.
Do you remember
No,
when,
seriously, like,
is
stop.
this all a ploy to make us like feel
And-
like we want loop? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, not to mention the like environmental impact as
Yeah,
well.
dude.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
just absurd. This whole thing. It's
Well,
greed
the Team 17 bent over
personified.
backwards about everything that was environmental impact.
Say it again.
Team 17 bent over backwards to like try to prove that their things were like environmentally sustainable and
Yeah.
giving back to the environment, blah blah. And like, I don't think anyone even looked
I mean, they're
at
probably
that
just
part of the claim.
they're probably just like buying carbon offsets or something. And it's like how much does that actually do?
No.
Like who
We need a new
knows?
Wall Street. Wall Street 3 NFTs.
This is all a ploy to get us to feel so angry and upset about this that we accept and normalize loot boxes. Because this is their end game. Was
Yeah.
because we're gonna be like, we wish we were back at loot boxes.
Right.
This
Honestly,
is so bad. And then
honestly.
the industry be like, oh, you want loot boxes?
Yeah.
Well, graciously go back to loot
Yeah.
boxes.
God.
Also this week, we talked about this before and people knew this was going to happen, but it's official. Sega Game Centers in Japan will rebrand as Gigo. Get into the gaming oasis. Gigo.
I think that was
Geigo.
already the name of the company that like cooperated them. But yeah, Sega's basically
Bye.
taking their name off.
Yeah,
getting
over
out of
50
that
years
side
in the
of
arcade business.
Yeah.
And
So will
they're out.
Yakuza 8 say Gigo on the like arcade
We'll see.
instead of Sega?
We'll see.
That's the only thing I care about in that story. Yakuza 8
Evil Dead the game.
implications.
We'll see. You let me know.
I will.
I think
will.
I would ask. I'm supposed to ask you that question,
I'll let
Huber.
you know. I'll let you know.
Evil Dead the game delayed May 13th, 2022.
Let it cook.
Just push it to October. Just
Good call.
push it. Just give yourself the time. Horde and Alliance players will soon be able to raid together in World of Warcraft.
No.
That's the squeaky wheel.
I refuse. I will not. If you're on Alliance, I will not. I don't even play this game anymore. But that just seems weird. That's crazy.
I kind of want to see the first stream of the first Horde like.
What do you mean?
Uneasy
Can
Alliance.
there be
Yeah, it's like
betrayals,
Thanksgiving,
at
you know,
least? That's why I would watch it.
Friendly fire, like
Yeah, they can turn off.
AOE's and stuff. That'd be fun.
New York Times bought Wordle for 7 figures. Josh Wardle, creator of Wordle, said, quote, "The step feels very natural because through an extensive story I do not know all the details of, but the New York Times was instrumental in the success getting the name out there." Danny Trejo's in Ollie Ollie World. He was previously in Far Cry 6, in case you're curious what the
Yeah.
other thing he was. And
You have
we look
to-
forward to his next gaming collaboration.
You have to like protect him while he's making tacos and stuff. It's really awesome. Yeah, it's like 2 missions. It's really fun.
Radar Pictures is developing a TV series based on American McGee's Alice.
Crazy. I know, dude. Like
I had to remind myself that this was just a game. This wasn't like a book American McGee wrote
Yeah,
that they
no.
then made a game off of. American McGee made the game, full stop.
yeah.
Crazy.
Goth girl teenager me is like I'm freaking out right now.
There's 2 of them, right?
There were two
games,
games,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Madness
and-
Returns, I
Madness
think, was the sequel.
Yeah, and David Hayter is writing. Yeah, so
Sweet.
craziness.
DJ2 Entertainment is developing a TV series based on Haze Light's It Takes Two. They're also doing Life is Strange and Sleeping Dogs and some other stuff. You just go to DJ2 Entertainment and their whole page is all the stuff they have
I
the
feel
rights
like
to.
a lot of that stuff's not getting made.
Probably not. Maybe this one either. But it's just fun to see who
Life is Strange and Sleeping Dogs. That's
And-
sick.
and a bunch of other
That's
things.
a
But I mean,
Square
we'll see.
Enix connection there. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, maybe. Journey and Edith Finch devs have formed a studio called Gardens,
Oh, cool.
which sounds super wholesome and apparently is, but I did not do a lot
Yeah,
of reading on it.
go and check out that About page. It's really interesting because it's remote first, and then they're doing a lot of things to try to make sure that they're working
Oh.
sustainable weeks, like I think like 35-hour weeks and that kind of thing. So
Please make that work.
Dude, my friend Chris is in that.
Make
That's
that work
nice.
and win a goatee. Go get it. Bloomberg is reporting it's not official yet. The Suicide Squad won't come out till 2023, which, yeah. I did come recently on a Huber Syndrome and say it was one of the games I was looking forward to this year, but also would not be surprised at all.
I did think it was
If it got
weird
delayed
that
again.
Gotham Knights and that were supposed to be in the same year.
Right.
So I guess this gives Gotham Knights time to breathe and have a life.
Which it seems like the game to get first.
Yeah.
Between those two. It's
Definitely.
like, nothing in Gotham. Boy, am I excited
yeah,
for that game.
yeah.
Get that out.
Yeah.
and then drop the biggie. A Chevy Tahoe can be clearly seen in the latest trailer for the Halo TV show, and someone has modded it into the game. Have you seen this? Have you seen the Chevy
somebody
Tahoe?
modded it into the game.
It's official. It's canon.
Was this a
saw the
was this a Starbucks Game of Thrones situation or what?
No, it was all dirtied up and everything.
So yeah, so it's like an old. It's just they're in some old ruins of. They're on Earth. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good job, Chevy. The RE4 mod's out. 8 years in the making. It's amazing.
Amazing.
A free demo of Bloodborne, the PS1 demaster. All of that has been covered by Easy Allies this week. Stay tuned for that coverage. Played by the people who need to play it. Meta in 2021 made $2.2 billion in VR and AR. Curious what the AR part is specifically that Meta's doing.
Their stock is plummeting right now.
The stock is plummeting compared to 1.1 bill in 2020. So at least the VR AR revenue doubled last year, but they're having what a weird company that defines success in all sorts of interesting ways. And also, just to get another gross Activision quote in there, Christian Arends, Activision's VP of QA, said in Slack.
Here we go.
I love we're yoinking these from Slack
I
now.
love that.
We're not safe anywhere.
I love it. I love this.
In an unreplyable message. Set this message to unreplyable.
Unreplyable?
Yeah. Said a lot of fun things about unions. My favorite was there was a union doesn't do anything to help us produce world-class games. And many other fun things saying, no, unions don't help.
Unreplyable statement.
Happy employees don't make good video games. Thanks, Christian. Take that, Slack user. Let's play a game.
2022. Get your NFTs and all your shit out of my face.
Scumbags, we're coming for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
From Christopher McClung, greetings, allies. In honor of Jones, the VO Pro, I have a game called Do You Know the Vintage VO? I have a list of 10.
This game.
We only had 2 games. Shout out to the other game that was submitted. It was a good game. But yeah, this one, I can't tell why. Something about it I like. I have a list of 10 video game characters, some well-known, others not so much, and actors, actresses, all with the same first name. All you need to do is guess who was the correct VO performer. Quickest to answer each correctly wins. Most points get to leftover werehogs from Kyle's Not Taking That With Me stash. Enjoy. No, Christopher. No. Number 1, Amanda from Sleeping Dogs. Was that Emma Watson, Emma Roberts, Emma Stone, or Emma Thompson?
Emma Stone.
Whoa.
Correct.
Love Sleeping Dogs.
Fast.
10 out of 10. Sleeping Dogs 2. Let's go.
Number 2, Jason Hudson from Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Was that
Sam
Michael B.
Worthington.
Jordan? Can I get through 4 names before you just and you're wrong.
I think it's.
Oh, it's the other. Okay, wait. Yeah, I am?
You're totally wrong.
You're totally wrong.
Jason Hudson from Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Was that Michael B. Jordan, Michael Mosley, Michael Keaton, or Michael Rooker?
Michael Rooker.
Hooker. Wait, Sam?
Sure, I'll go with them.
Michael Keaton
Wow.
from Black Ops 2.
You got me.
Rooker's
you got
in
me
there
good.
somewhere.
Because Hudson showed up
Rooker's
in
in 3, I think.
Black Ops Cold War, and it was
Rooker is
not
in 2.
Michael Keaton.
That might have been. It might have been Rooker, but I thought it said Keaton. But Rooker does make sense. Number 3, who did additional voice talent in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2? Will Forte,
God.
Will Ferrell, Will Arnett, or William H. Macy?
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett. Additional voice talent. Who is Ignitus from the Spyro series? Gary Busey, Gary Oldman, Gary Cole, or Gary Sinise?
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
I think.
Sorry.
Who is you were gonna get a lot of these. Who's Lucy Stillman from Assassin's Creed? Kristen Shaw, Kristen Wiig, Kristen Bell, or Kristen Stewart?
Bell.
Kristen Bell.
She's in it too. It looks like her. It's weird.
They just came out recently. They killed her off because she wanted royalties.
Ha!
That
From what?
story just came out.
That's what you
recently,
get. Character.
Yeah. From Assassin's Creed.
Logan from Fable 3.
Oh,
Michael Richards,
damn it.
Michael Fassbender, Michael Douglas, or Michael Caine?
Michael
Michael
Caine.
Caine.
Michael Fassbender.
Wow.
Fable 3.
Wait, what? That's insane.
Fable 3 is a long time ago.
Forgot about that.
Atlas from God of War 2. Michael Shannon, Michael Clark Duncan, Michael Ironside, or Michael Madsen?
Michael Clark
Michael
Duncan.
Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah, I
Hell
remember
yeah.
that one.
Iconic.
Those other 3 men sound nothing like Michael Clark Duncan. Queen Ariane from Elder Scrolls Online. Is that Kate Winslet, Kate Mara, Kate Beckinsale, or Kate Hudson?
Kate Mara.
Beckinsale.
Damiani's got it. Kate Beckinsale's got that MMO energy, doesn't she? She just seems
Yeah.
like
Should be down to it.
Arya Tlok from the Mass Effect series. Carrie Coon, Carrie Fisher, Carrie Ann Moss, or
Carrie Ann
Carrie
Moss.
Underwood.
Was it Carrie Moss?
on it.
Wow.
Wow.
And finally, a random Marine in Halo 2. Played by Michelle Williams, Michelle Rodriguez, Michelle Monaghan, or Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle
Rodriguez.
please.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
A very distinguishing voice.
Heck
Yeah.
Could not be confused with anyone else. Somewhere obvious, but a fun game. Thank you,
That's a
Christopher.
really fun game. Those are my favorites. I love that shit.
That is a fun game. Wow, games
Yeah.
are fun, huh?
Yeah.
Good ad lib, team. Good ad lib. It's now time for love and respect.
Love and respect.
From Sam Joven, I put together a list of some critically acclaimed games that launched in 2012.
12, we were just talking about this, dude. What the hell? Randomly on the stream today, Jones, because February 2022, this month, is insane for video games.
Yeah.
So randomly on stream, I'm like, I wonder what came out in February 10 years ago.
Right.
And we were just running through the
here we
games
go.
that released, comparing it to
There's
now.
a twist, though.
It was actually pretty crazy. Vita launched.
Now that we're now that we're 10 years older and potentially wiser, what advice would you give these games looking towards their futures with your current knowledge about the industry fates of their franchises? Let's say we're quick. We don't have a whole meeting with them. We're just in an elevator, and you look over and
Elevator pitch.
there's Mass Effect 3. What do you tell Mass Effect 3?
Have a better ending.
Rewrite your ending.
Well, there's no time. How do we react? Should I get mad on our fans?
Delay your game and rewrite your ending.
Should I tell our fans they're wrong? And the
Promise
ending
there's
is
a
good?
DLC coming that's going to fix the ending.
Yeah, put the Citadel stuff in the game.
Right.
Oh yeah, get those original files that they lost for whatever multiplayer mode that they did get working for Mass Effect 1.
Honestly, if the Citadel was like the actual ending,
Yeah.
that's pretty genius, Isla. That's like what you want in a huge trilogy.
I think
Yeah.
that's how most people think of it. now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Good call.
Borderlands 2. What are you telling Borderlands 2 to prep?
What? Tell them to prep.
Yeah.
Ditch the magic.
Didn't Borderlands 2 crush it?
Yeah.
So a lot of these, the next franchise especially, has done nothing but
gosh.
amazing things
Tell
since.
Randy to ditch the magic act.
Tell Randy to ditch the magic act. I don't think that would make much difference. Man, I don't know. Like they're making a whole game based off of one of those DLCs. Like,
Yeah, I would say like have even more DLC ready. Make even more.
I don't even know about that because they
Like-
took a long time to get all this DLC out.
Yeah.
Make sure you could play your trailers correctly, not your reveal.
Oh yeah.
Remember they had
Just double check.
That was at PAX South. They couldn't play the video files
That was
correctly.
3 though, but yeah.
Far Cry 3.
Far Cry.
2012. What road ahead? Can you imagine Far Cry 3?
Make Voss the real villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's probably the best.
Learn from your villains in the future. Telltale's The Walking Dead.
Oh dear.
So I'm pitching to
2012.
Telltale though.
Well, just this game in general, just the devs on this.
You're
team.
gonna do great. Slow down the sequels.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Take your
Spread
time.
them out. Yeah.
Trim
Yeah.
the fat. Cut your other
Yeah.
games.
And fire the
You
guy.
didn't need 400 days either.
Change the engine.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Work
God,
on your
Paid off as like a
technology.
little tiny
Oh
thing.
my God, Damiani. Forgot.
Xenoblade Chronicles. 2012.
Hang in there.
That
Hang in
only
there.
released
No.
in 2012
Redemption.
for a reason.
That
That
was
should have
out.
been out a couple years before.
Yeah,
that.
so that's like you're talking about Nintendo America at that point about believe in this franchise, please.
I would say, hey, don't worry about that voice cast. Everyone's gonna love that UK voice cast.
Yeah.
Also, put it in real stores. How about that?
Yes.
Put it in real stores. You had to either get that from GameStop or order it from Nintendo directly, their website.
one way to get it. And then they brought out a 3DS port, and then they finally
Yeah.
give us definitive edition.
GameStop, not a real store. Daniel Bloodworth, 2022.
But
really?
no, I think you couldn't even like walk into a GameStop, could you? You had to
Yeah,
order it
it was
online.
pre-order
Yeah.
only.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I mean, you
see,
could
I
buy
see.
used copies through it. Dude, like get that soundtrack out faster. Send that soundtrack to every single human being as
I might have
possible.
had that soundtrack before the game came out here.
Probably.
Probably in Japan, but should have had like a Western release of that.
Oh, I mean,
ASAP.
it goes for every Nintendo soundtrack, but
yeah, but like that game deserved it more than anything.
Bonus game, Trials Evolution. How does Don feel about Trials? Isla?
Trials. Oh my gosh.
He loves them.
I know, but how's that series doing? Is that a series that can continue, or
Yeah,
he
right.
Yeah, I
loves
think
them.
didn't
that
review very
series
well,
is
and-
at a
He
sweet
loves
spot
everything.
to where it can do no wrong, kind of thing. Yeah.
it's a good Game Pass game, that Trials franchise?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell Trials about Game Pass. Just uprising,
Yeah.
day one. Get on
Game
that.
Pass.
Get Phil Spencer on the phone. He
Great
doesn't even
call.
know what it is yet, but when
Yep.
he calls you about Game Pass,
That's good.
get ready.
That's so good, Jones.
I was like, fix the faces sooner.
Make them crazier.
From Cabbage Lad, did you hear? Bungie was bought this week. After pondering how Sony could possibly benefit from buying a multi-platform independent studio, I had a light bulb moment. Fortnite. That's why. Why share profiting characters with Epic when you can own a similar game yourself? So the question is, what Sony franchise characters or weapons and equipment would you like to see in Destiny?
Oh boy.
Oh, that's
So they're going to
weird.
turn Destiny... I mean, obviously this is a nightmare scenario a
Right.
little bit, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
say,
I
no,
do
we're
not
doing
think
it.
This is going to
I
happen.
mean, I would
not
definitely
work.
I would definitely want to throw in some ratchet.
do clickers for sure.
Oh,
For
shit.
sure.
Five clickers?
Stealth mode, dude. Like
Yes.
crazy stealth sequences. Destiny
Yeah.
co-op
New enemies
stealth.
would be great for Destiny, regardless.
The Osiris DLC, I forget, but you're like going through portals and like showing up in weird places, like something like that, but with Horizon enemies. Like but killing Horizon dinos in Destiny seems like it would be really fun.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I want to play the entirety of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart in Destiny 2. Like I just want to like literally give me the same sequences and everything, just first person. I just have all my Destiny
The
guns.
Destiny raid,
You know,
Ratchet.
no.
Yeah.
Dude, the melee weapons are kind of fun in Destiny. And now I'm just
so fun.
I'm just picturing Kratos in there with the Leviathan axe
sure.
and the chain, you know, like it'd be great.
bow and arrows in Destiny also. That's why I thought
Yeah.
Horizon are just so fun.
The electro pylon driver and from Eternal,
Oh
Yes.
the laser
yeah. the
web. Yeah.
thing, yeah.
And you know what model I'm looking for with this? Not Fortnite. Final Fantasy 14, baby. Because you're telling me that the expansion pack just came out last year. It's one of the best Final Fantasy stories of all time. And yet, when I go into that world, some, crazy cat person just passed me in a black convertible and lightning's over there attacking something from Final Fantasy 4. Like, what even is this world? So I don't think this is going to break it. I think Destiny can still, release amazing stories, but dip into that Sony catalog.
I just don't
Best of
know
both
if
worlds.
Yeah, I think if they were ever going to do this, it wouldn't be Destiny. They'd make something new.
Right.
yeah. It'd be something new at
Fun
that
to
point.
ponder.
They should bring in a hot spring from Ghost of Tsushima.
Several.
I like it.
From RF Switch, what is the ideal type of anime game? I don't know why I'm asking this. Maybe I've been playing too much Yakuza, or my coping technique of watching all the filler episodes of Naruto is occupying too much of my brain. But I suddenly started craving a Musou of that particular ninja world, or even having a Yakuza-style game set around the villages. What is your idea of a good or perfect anime game?
I just played the Demon Slayer one and Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, and those are both incredible. They're so
Oh,
fun.
you're going to say they're incredible.
Yeah, I love them. You're just redoing the anime, but you get to like explore a little bit. Obviously it's not huge open world, and like the combat can be pretty basic, but you're in terms of reliving, like redoing the anime, that's as good as it gets.
I felt like the second one, Ultimate Ninja Storm 2,
Yeah.
was like the perfect one. It had like the best balance of things to do and meaningful stuff in between
Yeah.
those segments. I always wish there would be an anime that would just take CyberConnect 2's engine for that and make new episodes weekly doing that. Like Telltale, like if someone wants to do a Telltale style like thing, like episodic, they need to tuck with like CyberConnect 2
Weekly
and
anime.
do like a weekly game anime like
That'd
that.
be crazy.
Where you play it and like you get the story. But I mean, it's
Dude.
like everyone's getting the same outcome pretty much.
That is an
but, yeah.
untapped idea.
Be
right
faster
there.
than the studio house, and it looks so good.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it. Like I think they can make it look really good.
I also really like to swim in the 7 that is Dragon Ball Kakarot.
Kakarot's
You know,
tempted me more than any Dragon Ball game ever.
yeah.
I almost... We got
Like-
like the collector's edition or something. I don't know if the copy of the game came with it, but
Just
like...
yeah, like
the
being able to
opportunities
explore.
presented themselves. And I was like,
Totally. Being able to explore the anime worlds. Because, like, I love just when I'm watching anime, like, all the environments are, like, anime's so cozy.
Yeah.
So just being able to be in those
it's like
worlds.
Simpsons Hit and Run. It's like, oh,
Yep.
Millhouse lives over there.
Yes.
Good to know. Neat.
Yes.
It's just kind of nice to see.
We got pretty close for what I would say would be a dream anime game for me was when we got the first Ni no Kuni.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like,
dude,
once in a
yes.
lifetime thing
Number
with
one,
that.
Yes.
Might have wished for a slightly different battle system, but otherwise, I mean, it's close you could get to a Studio Ghibli game, so they're not going to do that.
It's so funny that like the different kind of anime I grew up watching because I'm like I've already got like SMT5, like you attack and dethrone God,
Yeah,
whatever. You
Persona
know, it's like these are the
5.
kinds of anime I used to watch, like
Yeah.
sad, nihilistic. You know, yeah, love
Yeah,
it.
it's a thing. It kind of depends because like you get some really good fighting games.
Dragon Ball Fighters is so much fun to watch.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
really work. Yeah.
Persona 5 is like the pinnacle if we're counting that as an anime game. I mean, basically is.
Well, it's SMT5 again, just the vibe.
Yeah.
Attack on Titan. I remember. I think the second one was good too, but the first one I remember you reviewing.
Yeah, it kind of like
Surprising
felt
you.
good to play with that.
Was tempted.
The omnidirectional mobility gear, whatever you call it now. I forget.
Dark
We'll
Souls.
get corrected next week.
Dark Souls inspired in some way by Berserk. We'll count it.
Time for bets. This week's bet, Apex Legends Defiance launches on Tuesday, February 8th. That's next Tuesday. When we record the podcast on Thursday, 2 days later, how many people will be watching Apex Legends on Twitch? There were 110, 115 before we started recording this podcast, and 680-something ballpark is their top ever. Michael Damiani, how many people are watching that?
170,000.
170,000. Huber.
185,000.
185. Isla.
I went high, 266,000.
Whoa. Bloodworth.
162.5 thousand.
I like that because that went mega high. 460, baby. I don't know.
Whoa.
Let's do it. Let's break some records. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't break a record, but
New season hype. I mean, it's exciting.
could be. Could be. All right. All right. Last week's bet, and we still have the bet from 2 weeks ago, that Rugby 22,
yeah.
that how many balls are on the back of the
Yep.
cover. It comes out physical tomorrow. So it'll be ready for the next. I could have maybe gotten it today,
Please
but
find that box.
I was putting that together. Shout out to me at Trailer Jones on Twitter. If you have a physical version, can take a picture. It's high res as possible,
anticipated bet.
so we can zoom in on the balls. But last week's bet was Life is Strange Remastered launched on Tuesday, the Tuesday of this week.
Has
It is
some
Thursday
issues.
now,
Has some issues.
or so we hear.
Public service announcement. Has
I
some
want to know
issues.
how many reviews will I see right now on Steam for that game. There were 6,700 for True Colors last week, for reference.
I saw a screenshot of this, Jones. It's mixed right now. Mixed reviews.
It does say mixed.
Yeah, a little buggy.
Emotions, reviews, mixed.
Yep.
Brad Ellis bet 100. Damiani bet 200. Isla bet 712. Bloodworth brought it down to 74. I cranked it right back up to 800, baby. That's the range. Let's do it right now. Refresh. 310. Giving Michael Damiani the win. I love team wins, but Isla doesn't. Isla's upset. Now happy for the team. But
I'm happy for the
initially-
team. Yeah.
Yeah. So congrats, Damiani, for the win. Bringing our scores to Massive Chubb 0. Malodorous Sea Lions 1.
Ew.
We'll see how many balls we got in the next podcast. Maybe we can put some more stuff up there. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. Shout-outs, baby. Obviously, we go straight to the shout-outs, but it's worth saying for these shout-outs. We got a new one on that shout-out tier. We have our shout-out sponsors returning. This is our tip-top tier, patreon.com/easyallies. We have a new shout-out person, a new name to read this month. It's at and alphabetically, it's the end of the list, so shout out to this person, but shout out to that tier, and obviously all of our patrons at patreon.com/easyallies. It's where we primarily funded. We get the money here on YouTube, we get money on Twitch, we get money all over the place, anywhere we can. But a lot of people support us on Patreon. We are very grateful to them. And through Patreon, there's a lot of fun ways you can learn more about the Allies. You can get more stuff from the Allies. You can be more involved in our group and the content that we produced. Just like these amazing people. Shout out to Caleb Togi Crawford, Elphanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Nick, and Raymond Wheeler III. Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Michael Damiani,
Look up a video.
is there something you
look up a video?
Is there something you
Trying
want to
find a-
share with the rest of the class?
Trying to find a video for us to recommend.
A lot
Sorry.
of stuff out just today.
You're
Lot of
checking it?
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of stuff just dropped.
Okay. Michael Damiani, you get to promote any Easy Allies video you'd like to promote. You get the final word on anything you disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped into your head, and you get to sign off with your trademark sign-off.
All right. And you're not lying. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos up right now. You know what? I'm gonna recommend Gran Turismo 7,
Nice.
your preview of GT7 that we alluded to earlier in the episode. So go and check that out. I don't disagree with anything we said about NFTs. I completely agree with everything we said about NFTs. And until next time, everybody, may the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
Twitch.tv/EasyAllies, October 30th or 31st.
Total world domination.
You're wearing an Evil Within shirt.